As it turns out, in my past life, I awakened the lowest tier class in society, an F-rank repairman. I should have lived a peaceful life running a bicycle repair shop, but talk about bad luck. A high-profile corporate conglomerate discovered the loophole hidden within my divine talent. F-rank, so what? Hand me a rusted piece of iron, and with a few strikes of my hammer, I will forge it into a divine artifact. Hand me a tattered fireball skill book, and after slapping some duct tape on it, it turns into a world-destroying forbidden spell. My class might be F-rank, but my craftsmanship is God tier. The consequence was that those corporate scumbags locked me down in a basement, threw heavy chains around my neck, and forced me to craft gear day and night like a wretched dog, with zero salary, zero benefits, and not a single day of paid leave. Until my strength was completely drained, right at the moment when I was about to close my eyes for the last time, I used my final gasp of breath to repair some garbage time travel skill. Just like that, time reversed, I regressioned, and the awakening day arrived once again. Beneath the hopeful gazes of the crowd, the column of light representing my talent flared brilliant. The system announced the awakening of an F-rank repairman class. The entire academy burst into a wave of mocking laughter. But wait, the light hadn't faded yet. A series of legendary twin classes. The whole school held its breath, and the proctor stared wide-eyed. The system finally dropped the hammer, awakening my second class, an F-rank farmer. For a single second, absolute silence hung in the air before the entire school rolled on the floor laughing. My humiliation was doubled, and their contempt multiplied by 4. The ultimate combo of a repairman and a farmer, the trash of the trash, the scum of the scum. Everyone looked at me with gazes filled with overwhelming pity. But those idiots had no idea that beneath the face I was hanging low out of supposed shame. The corners of my mouth were already curled up all the way to my ears. A celebration party was going off in my heart right now. Go ahead and laugh. Laugh as loud as you want. They only knew that repairmen swing hammers and farmers sow seed. But did anyone know that if you take an F-rank weed seed grown by a farmer and hand it over to a repairman to upgrade, it would turn into the world tree? Have you ever seen a divine artifact sprout right out of a cabbage patch? And alright, no more dragging things out. Our story begins right now. Today is the most momentous day of our high school lives, awakening right under the shadow of a colossal, sky-piercing demonic rift. On the packed bus, the noisy students clung tightly to the handrails, excitedly chattering about their bright futures ahead. Our young man suddenly jolted awake, staring blankly around the surroundings with wide eyes. As a crazy thought flashed through his mind, I actually came back. Memories rushed back, making him agonizingly realize that this was the exact day all the seniors headed to the Nanrong demonic rift station to awaken their classes. That meant right now was the golden window of time before Nanrong City was wiped completely off the map. Flipping back through history, years ago, countless entrances to demonic rifts suddenly descended upon humanity, and Nanrong was one of them. It was a place where monsters poured out in swarms to massacre humans en masse. But ironically, when humanity aggressively marched inside the rift with guns, ammunition, and even nuclear weapons to counterattack, they were utterly dumbfounded to find that the magic inside completely neutralized all modern weaponry. Only much later did people discover a universal truth. As long as someone reached the right age and stepped close to the rift, they could awaken all sorts of different classes, gaining innate skills and the strength to punch those monsters down after years of bloody warfare. Eventually, mankind managed to control all the exit and entry points and started carrying swords to raid the demon world. Thanks to that, human society completely transformed. New rules were established. Every high school student who reached adulthood was mandated to go to the demonic rift to awaken their class, and they were divided into 3 main categories: combat, support, and crafting. Among them, the combat squad was always placed on a pedestal, and support classes were highly sought after. In contrast, poor crafting classes were looked down upon and treated like lowly manual labor. And how unlucky was I in my past life to land right on the crappiest F-rank crafting class. Fortunately, heaven didn't cut off everyone's path. The innate skill I received was a heaven-defying modification divine skill. Just change a single letter in the name of a skill or item, and I could instantly turn trash into a supreme treasure. The bitter part was that in my past life, the very second I foolishly showed off this divine skill, I was snatched away and hauled straight to the doorstep of the powerful. They forced me to modify all kinds of skill names and equipment, helping them transform worthless piles of scrap iron into gleaming divine artifacts. But the sheer overpowered nature of that divine skill was precisely what made them start fearing me. So instead of paying me a salary, they decided to lock me up, restrict my growth, and try to control me completely. Until that fateful night, a massive high-level demonic dragon suddenly burst out of the Nanrong Rift, an unprecedented event. And on that very day, having grinded my way up to a high level, I finally stepped hesitantly into the ranks of humanity's elite. Perhaps someone figured I wasn't docile anymore and wanted to use the monsters to wipe me out for good. At the brink of death, I screamed out to activate modification, changing resurrection into reincarnation, and boom, that modified innate skill dragged me all the way back to the past. Snap back to reality, the driver's voice cut through my train of thought. Approaching the Nanrong demonic rift, all students prepare to get off. Hiding in the crowd, I muttered with firm determination, now that I've come back to life, whoever wants to kill me doesn't matter anymore. With this divine skill, the only person I can trust is myself. As the vehicle crossed the boundary, I swore to myself that in this life, I would never tell a single soul about my ability, because I knew very well that protecting my family, friends, and this city had to start with keeping my mouth tightly shut to guard the secret. Sporting a confident smile, I concluded, and I'll quietly grind my way to the top to save myself and this city. The bus finally stopped in front of the Awakening Plaza, right before the grand headquarters of the Nanrong Hunter Association. The moment we stepped off the bus, my friends started whining. I'm about to awaken my class. If I end up getting some trash crafting class, I'm done for. I'd rather take the shittiest F-rank combat class instead. Jiang Yan, our low-key protagonist, stretched as he stepped down, and his friends immediately swarmed around him to fawn. Jiang Yan was born with max mana reserves and tops both academic and combat tests. I'm so envious of a genius like him. He's definitely going to awaken a super powerful combat class, right? But life always has those who love throwing wrenches into the gears. Our second-place classmate, Yang Huangwei, immediately interrupted with a sour expression. What do those things have to do with the awakened class? This jealous prick let out a loud, mocking laugh and added insult to injury. Plenty of people with insanely high energy compatibility still awaken completely useless F-rank classes. Ignoring that guy putting on a clueless comedy routine, the teacher walked over and patted Jiang Yan's shoulder with high expectations. Jiang Yan, you go first. Hopefully, you'll bring some good luck to all of us. The lead teacher walked ahead, offering reassuring words. Students, don't be too nervous. Just place both hands on the crystal ball, and your class panel will awaken automatically. The loudspeaker boomed clearly. Student from Nanrong No. 1 High School, Jiang Yan, step forward and awaken your class. Hearing his name called, he took confident strides toward the stage of glory. Ignoring how nervous everyone else was on his behalf, he just smirked to himself. Unlike these folks who are still daydreaming with high hopes, I already know the final result. Down below, the female students kept whispering admiringly. Jiang Yan was born with max mana. If he awakens a combat class, he's going to be insanely strong. On the other hand, the teacher clasped his hands and muttered, please don't let it be a crafting class. Please don't let it be a crafting class. Meanwhile, his nemesis standing nearby curled his lip and cursed. That slum rat is guaranteed to get a crafting class. Brushing off all the whispers, Jiang Yan calmly reached his hand out toward the magical crystal sphere. The exact moment his hand touched its smooth surface, a blinding column of light erupted, enveloping his entire body. And then the system panel flashed two large glowing words, Repairman. Detailed stats smashed right into view. Name, Jiang Yan, Nanrong No. 1 High School. Energy compatibility 100%, awakened class, F-rank crafting type repairman. The entire plaza froze solid. The teacher clutched his head in despair. How could this be possible? That kid worked so hard, topping both academics and practicals, born with max mana, yet he awakened an F-rank. You've got to be kidding me. Breaking the gloomy atmosphere, Yang Huangwei burst into a hearty, triumphant laugh. I told you so, it was bound to be a crafting class, and an F-rank repairman at the bottom of the barrel at that. Clutching his face in manic laughter, he gloated mockingly. Jiang Yan, oh Jiang Yan, you've lorded over me for 3 whole years, now just look at your pathetic state. The proctor standing nearby felt bad and offered a weak consolation. Actually, a repairman isn't that bad, still way better than a farmer. You can open an equipment repair shop and make a decent living. But before the words of comfort could even finish, the magical aura erupting from his body flared up violently once again. The proctor's eyes widened in shock as he hurriedly shouted, wait, the crystal ball is reacting again. He's awakening a second class. The teacher immediately rallied his spirits, his eyes flashing with renewed hope. Dual awakenings are extremely rare. Anyone possessing 2 classes is an extraordinary genius. Even if the first class was F-rank, who knows, maybe the second one could turn the table. The second pillar of light surged turbulent, just as bright and intense as the first, until the system panel finalized it, farmer. The stats panel updated with chilling coldness. Awakened classes: Repairman, Farmer, F-rank crafting type. The teacher and the panel of judges turned completely to stone, jaws dropping to the floor. A guy who used up a rare phenomenon awakened 2 F-ranks instead, and the second one is even more trash than the first. Hyungwei clutched his stomach, laughing so hard tears almost came out. A double F-rank special. Jiang Yan, you truly are a once-in-a-millennium genius, the top academic scholar backed by 2 F-ranks. Leaving all the chaos behind, Jiang Yan nonchalantly turned around and walked down the steps. The teacher watched his retreating figure, pushed up his glasses, and let out a long sigh. Ha, poor Jiang Yan. The kid is unbelievably unlucky. He should have turned into a legendary prodigy, but now he's reduced to trash. The crowd buzzed with extreme pity. He worked so hard to top both academics and combat, only to end up like this. But lurking within the dim light, Jiang Yan just sneered. Trash, unlucky. It's true that the class I awakened really sits at the very bottom of society. Shoving his hands into his pockets with an overwhelming aura of composure, he thought further. But what I awakened is actually a heaven-defying, fate-defying innate skill. A system panel flickered into view with glowing gold text. Crafting class repairman, innate skill, modification mana cost, varies. Description: this skill can modify a single character in the name of an innate skill, piece of equipment, or item. Upon modification, the owner of the name will receive the corresponding innate skill, equipment, or item matching the new name. Note: if the modified target belongs to the user, the success rate is 100%. If the target exceeds the user's level, the success rate will decrease for each level higher. Remembering his past life, it was thanks to that magical operation of changing growth acceleration to resurrection for the farmer class that the system granted him the ultimate resurrection magic that saved his life. Farmer innate skill, growth acceleration mana cost, moderate. Description: increases the growth rate of plants. Modified innate skill. Farmer class innate skill, resurrection mana cost, high. Description: revives the targeted subject including oneself and restores all wounds, though consumed mana will not be recovered. Jiang Yan broke into a wicked and confident smile. As long as I make good use of this skill, it will definitely become my greatest trump card. Looking up at the giant screen of the rookie leaderboard, the corners of Jiang Yan's mouth curved upward with calculated intent. Just wait, I'm going to bag the #1 spot on both leaderboards, and then you'll all experience the terror of being dominated by an F-rank class. After all, the reward resources for the top spot far exceed ordinary imagination. His gaze turned resolute. In this life, I will stand unrivaled at the pinnacle of power. Without hesitation, he headed straight to the rookie training facility, a place born to help low-level newbies grind level. This area contained weak rift creatures raised and kept by humans. Not only was it safe, but the dropped EXP was the highest for beginner. He calculated mentally. Besides, breaking clear time records awards a bunch of bonus points for the upcoming provincial rookie tournament. Taking long, confident strides, he solidified his goal. Coming here isn't just to grind levels. I'm going to smash that clear record and lock down a ticket to a top-tier university. At the checkpoint, the staff member holding the file looked at him with a sympathetic gaze. Jiang Yan, Nanrong #1 High School, Class 12A1, awakened an F-rank crafting class, used to top both academics and combat, yet out of a huge crowd of newbies doing a dual awakening, both turned out to be F-rank. The knight standing nearby also frowned and advised, "Hey kid, are you sure you want to attempt a solo run? Even though this is just the first stage of the newbie dungeon, the difficulty is no joke." He friendly patted his shoulder and kindly reminded, "Especially with an F-rank class, you'd better form a party with your classmates." But Jiang Yan only replied calmly, "I'm sure, please issue my starter equipment." The two men exchanged helpless sighs and muttered, "This kid used to be school top 1. He probably still can't accept the shock of awakening 2 F-rank classes." Even though he felt sorry, the knight still handed the items over. "Your starter gear is right here, take it." Looking at the item in his hand, he recalled how in his past life the only equipment he received was an iron sword that increased attack power. This time he even got a bonus pair of leather boots that increased speed. Looks like this knight is showing him extra pity. Holding the sword, he smiled politely. "Thanks for your kindness," even though the guy was clearly looking down on his strength. The kind knight offered some last-minute advice before he stepped through the dungeon door. "If you get overwhelmed by a pack of ramming rabbits, just scream for help, and rescue knights will intervene immediately." "Thanks for the warning," he said as he waved and turned away to walk inside. "But you won't need to worry about me." The dungeon door slowly closed, and the moment he was out of sight, the Loki genius immediately toggled hacks, activating his innate skill, modification. The wondrous magic instantly transformed the lousy iron sword into a steel sword, with increased attack and armor penetration, and the leather boots into wind boots that boosted speed, adding a percentage to movement speed. Total steel. Holding the gleaming new sword in his hand, he clicked his tongue in slight regret. If he had modified them into holy swords or demonic swords, they would definitely be billions of times stronger. But he immediately crushed that impulsive thought. Considering the security cameras in here, it was best to keep a low profile. After all, in his past life, exposing his talent cost him way too high a price. Furthermore, he comforted himself. Low-tier gear has its upgrade limits, but for him right now, this was more than enough to breeze through. Entering inside, the system panel popped up with a reminder. The training area is divided into 3 parts: basic area, advanced area, and boss area. Please stay in the basic area if you want standard training. Skipping the noob zone, he glided straight into the deeper regions. Anyone looking for greater challenges could proceed to the advanced area. And to break the clear record, he had to enter the boss area and butcher a boss-level ramming rabbit. The moment he stepped across the boundary, monsters appeared in clusters with glowing red eyes, growling in the bushes. The system instantly scanned their info. Low-level mature ramming rabbit, common demonic creature, with crystal armor grown on its head allowing it to deal massive damage by charging, extremely aggressive. Stroking the blade of his steel sword, he hyped himself up. My goal is to hit a new level right here. I'll probably need to slaughter at least hundreds of... The pack of rabbits shrieked crazily, baring their teeth as they lunged forward to take a newbie's life. Facing hundreds of monsters rushing like a tidal wave, Jiang Yan calmly took a stance. He mapped out his leveling route. Only after reaching the required level would he be qualified to challenge the next stage, the Storm Wolf base. A rabbit lunged forward only to be slashed away in a flash. He thought smugly, even though that place is a nightmare for newbies, it's a perfect leveling ground for me. Instantly, he charged into the monster mob like a whirlwind, sword light flashing, as rabbits were lopped off like autumn leaves. While crazily slaughtering, he beamed. At this rate, this might shove me straight up to a higher level in a heartbeat. And at that level, I'll unlock that legendary ultimate skill. An illusion of an overpowered skill flashed in his mind. A high-level awakened innate skill, a theoretically god-tier skill capable of creating supreme demonic beasts. Slashing down another dozen monsters, his eyes burned with fire. By then I can become even stronger. While grinding away, he suddenly remembered his nemesis. Speaking of Yang Huangwei, the guy who held a grudge against me in the past life, he's probably starting his awakening right now. Stamping a heavy blow into the ground to wipe out a bunch of rabbits, he muttered, as soon as he finishes awakening, he's bound to come looking for trouble again. At the same time, the camera shifted back to the awakening plaza. The loudspeaker announced clearly, next, student from Nanrong No. 1 High School, Class 12A1, Yang Huangwei, stepped up to the platform. Sweat poured off him like rain, and his hands trembled as he screamed internally, damn it. Even if I just get a decent class, as long as it's better than Jiang Yan's trash F-rank, I win. Right after praying, a massive, dazzling column of magical light erupted violently, swallowing the silhouette of the male student who harbored dreams of surpassing others. Instantly, the bold, glowing words Berserker appeared midair. The Grand Stats panel popped up. Name, Yang Huangwei, Nanrong No. 1 High School. High Energy Compatibility, Awakened Class, a rank main combat type Berserker. He spread his arms wide, tilted his head back toward the sky and laughed manically. Ha ha ha, I won. The crowd below immediately stirred, dropping their jaws in shock. An A-rank main combat class. They whispered among themselves. He was a background prop for Jiang Yan all those years, yet now he actually flipped the script and climbed to the top. He smoothed his jacket, lifted his chin arrogantly, and declared, from this second on, no one is allowed to call me the second-place guy anymore. The corners of his mouth twitched into a cunning smile, his hands clenched in triumph. Now Class 12A1 has only one person who takes first place. Thumping his chest proudly, he pointed his thumb at his face and shouted self-indulgently, and that's me, Yang Huangwei. His lackeys saw this and swarmed over with flattery. Big Boss Yang, you're an absolute monster. What grounds does that trash Jiang Yan have to compete with you now? He shoved his hands into his pockets, strutting around as he scanned the area. I just awakened an A-rank class. Wouldn't it be a huge pity if that F-rank trash isn't here to witness it? A sycophant chimed in. Jiang Yan probably realized how cool Big Boss Yang is and got too scared to hide in some hole. Haha. Right on cue, a chubby guy in the crowd pointed far away and snitched. I think I just saw him heading toward the rookie training facility. Seizing the opportunity, Yang Huangwei waved his hand and led the whole mob. Let's go. An F-rank trash like him must be struggling hard at the training facility. We bros need to go lend him a hand. The teacher pushed up his glasses and watched them leave, sighing heavily. Lend a hand my foot. Clearly, he just wants to go watch Jiang Yan make a fool of himself. Yang Hyungwei always relies on his wealthy family background to bully others. Jiang Yan is truly doomed this time. Memories of his favorite student rushed back, making the teacher feel even more heartbroken. That kid worked harder than anyone else. I often saw him studying late into the night, pushing himself along the track so hard it hurt just to look at him. Involuntarily, the teacher rubbed his head helplessly, and even in the energy training room, despite reaching extremely high pain thresholds, he never let out a single groan. Why did a kid who worked so hard awaken the most useless F-rank class? Meanwhile, in another corner, a teenager chewing a lollipop smirked knowingly. My arch rival, even an F-rank class won't be enough to hold his growth back. Character info displayed. Wang Qingfeng, Nanrong No. 1 High School, Class 12A9. High school-wide ranking in both academics and combat, sitting right behind Jiang Yan. He muttered, "Nobody understands it better than me. Just how ruthlessly can he push himself?" The lollipop-chewing boy recalled bitter past memories. During the final exams of the previous school year, that guy had really beaten him black and blue. An image of Jiang Yan covered in wounds, yet burning with fighting spirit, flashed in his mind. Wang Qingfeng spat out his lollipop stick. That Yang Hyungwei guy seemed like he was looking for trouble. He shoved his hands into his pockets and strolled leisurely, exuding an unmatched aura. The only person allowed to defeat and humiliate the rival I've acknowledged can only be me. If anyone else dares to lay a finger on him, just watch what happens. Meanwhile, the camera cut back to the dungeon where Jiang Yan was leaning on his sword and panting heavily, because rounding up a horde of monsters and wiping them all out simultaneously was truly too much for this current body of his. Perched triumphantly atop a high pile of rabbit carcasses, he wiped his sweat away and gave a faint smirk. No matter, only the Rabbit King is left now. Taking it down will clear this area and push me straight to level 5. No sooner had he finished speaking than a massive, roaring monster appeared, and the status board instantly updated. Level 5 Charging Rabbit King. Description: the ruler of low-level magic beasts. Elemental crystal armor grows on its head, allowing its charges to deal extremely aggressive elemental damage. Jiang Yan gritted his teeth as sweat poured down profusely, thinking, "Damn it, why are my injuries still this heavy?" His status screen showed that his experience bar was almost full. Directly opposite him, the Rabbit King with its bloodshot eyes was furiously scratching the ground with its paws, huffing and puffing as it prepared to unleash a fatal blow. With a loud bang, it charged forward at a wind-shredding speed, turning into a massive ball of meat that kicked up a thick cloud of dust and debris. Looking at his boot heels, which were worn down thin from hastily sliding backward to break, he quickly calculated in his head, "If I confront it head-on right now, I'll definitely lose." Dust filled the air, but his gaze remained sharp. "Yet I've already figured out a way to win." The system sirens wailed red. The Charging Rabbit King activates its innate skill, Blazing Charge. At the very moment of a hair-raising crisis, he snapped his fingers, a cunning smile blooming across his face as he activated his innate skill, Modify. "This is precisely what I've been waiting for." Miraculous magic instantly interfered with the system. Blazing Charge was modified into Blazing Detonation. Modification details. Blazing Charge uses the fire elemental crystal armor on its head to deliver a charge imbued with fire elemental damage, which now transforms into Blazing Detonation, causing the fire elemental crystal armor on its head to detonate right on its own skull, dealing horrifying damage to the enemy and to itself alike. And so, instead of sending the enemy flying with a charge, the unlucky rabbit's head naturally burst into a blinding flash of light, literally self-destruct. A blinding explosion tore through the dungeon space. Standing right in the epicenter, Jiang Yan brushed some debris off his clothes and smiled smugly. A self-destruction skill works like a charm, doesn't it? The system interface flashed to signal a rapid level up from level 4 to level 5, while outside the training facility, the crowd stared with wide eyes at the electronic notice board displaying a new record, everyone stammering in disbelief. What the hell is this? A massive flashing marquee read, Rookie Training Facility Charging Rabbit Zone, the record has been broken. Record holder, Jiang Yan, stage clearance time, ultra short. Yang Hyungwei's lackeys shrieked in horror. No way, the old record was way longer than this. He shaved off more than half the time. Yang Hyungwei's expression instantly darkened as he gritted his teeth in vexation. HMPH, a piece of trash F-rank. How could he clear the stage this fast? He must have cheated. His flatterers immediately chimed in to stir up trouble. Cheating in the training facility. If he gets caught red-handed, his reputation will be totally ruined. Crossing his arms, he put on a haughty air like a cheap god of justice. Then I, Yang Hyungwei, will personally rip off his hypocritical mask. While the outside was in an uproar inside, Jiang Yan was leisurely sitting on a rock to catch a breeze, his body glowing with the green light of a recovery spell as he muttered, "That's enough for now. time to move on to the next phase of the training facility. Memories of his past life rushed back, bringing along the shadow of a terrifying giant wolf, and he thought to himself, the boss of the next stage is on a completely different level. The Windstorm Wolf King, that beast practically tortured me to death in my past life. But now the times have changed. Slinging his high-end sword over his shoulder, he strode forward with an overwhelming aura of murderous intent. This time around, it's my turn to collect with interest. Standing before the imposing building of the next stage, he cracked a smile. Long time no see. The Windstorm Wolf Zone, a literal slaughterhouse for newbies. You must know that in this area, ordinary wolf packs are already at an overwhelmingly high level, while the Wolf King sits proudly at the peak of the dungeon, whereas newbies stepping in here at best only linger around the low levels of the early stage. Therefore, for an average rookie to wear their face in here is no different from marching to their own torment, as the ferocity of the Windstorm Wolf Pack is truly terrifying to an extreme degree. Even so, the greater the storm, the sweeter the fruit, and the rewards at this base are just as monstrous as the monster's strength. If one can survive and grind here, the experience points reaped are the highest of this phase, and simply clearing the stage by beating the Wolf King to death allows a player to leap straight to level 10 in one go. Usually, a noob has to grind their fingers to the bone for dozens of days just to crawl to level 10, yet clearing this deadly desert base once is enough to reach the pinnacle of rookie glory. Not to mention, the best reward upon reaching this level is that the awakened individual can unlock a second innate skill. Furthermore, they will officially receive a wilderness license to hunt and grind levels on their own. Stroking his lapel, he was certain that both things were extremely useful for his path to supremacy, so achieving them sooner was better. Back in reality, the gatekeeping knight looked apprehensively at the young man asking to go inside. Kid, are you really sure you want to challenge this base alone? Normally, level 8 and 9 rookies wouldn't dare poke their noses here without dragging a newbie party along. Sighing, he recounted a tragic tale. There used to be an S-rank awakened rookie genius who tried to show off by soloing here, and the result was he ended up critically injured and couldn't even crawl to his college entrance exams. Seeing that gentle persuasion wasn't working, the knight's eyes suddenly turned ice cold, driving straight into the harsh reality. Are you trying to commit suicide, you F-rank trap? Though cursed right to his face, Jiang Yan maintained a calm smile like a tranquil pond. Thanks for your concern, senior, but I've already made up my decision. The grumpy knight glared at the slender figure, leisurely walking into the glowing teleportation gate. Who gives a damn about you? If you want to die, go right ahead. I'm not stopping you anymore. As he stepped down the dungeon stairs, he brushed off his clothes while pondering over being insulted to his face, but his gaze soon turned resolute and sharp. I won't stop on my path to becoming the strongest just because of a few stray dogs barking by the roadside. No sooner had he finished speaking than a pack of bloodthirsty beasts caught the scent of fresh meat, baring their sharp fangs and letting out blood-curdling howls as they lunged toward their prey. Unfazed, the young man instantly drew his sword and sprinted straight into the sandstorm of battle. Wielding his sword, which flashed with the multicolored pixels of the modification spell, he grinned and growled, "Long time no see. Let me refresh my memory on what your strength is worth." Outside, the gatekeeper knight stood on the observation deck with his arms crossed, shaking his head in dismay and muttering, "An F-rank. What a world-class piece of trash. Does he think he turns into a genius just by charging in head first? What a clueless, ignorant brat." Yet what struck his eyes through the surveillance monitor at that very moment was Jiang Yan dancing through his sword swings like cutting through mud, the wolf pack vanishing in the blink of an eye, accompanied by a continuous stream of +10 EXP notifications popping up. The knight stammered, "How can this be? How can that kid fight as if it's effortless?" Cold sweat broke out on his forehead as his eyes widened in horror. He hasn't even bothered to use his class innate skill yet. Both hands gripped the iron railing so hard they turned white, and every prejudice the knight held completely collapsed as he tremblingly asked himself, that kid, could he really be a hidden genius? A moment later, in the gloomy dungeon, fresh blood flowed pooling across the cold ground. Jiang Yan sat triumphantly atop a high mountain of wolf carcasses, leaning his sword planted in the ground as he panted heavily. Outside, the gatekeeper knight's eyes bulged as he stammered, sweat pouring down like rain. He really is a genius. Recalling his own arrogant attitude from earlier, he hurriedly slipped away. I can't stay here anymore. Just finished mocking him a moment ago. If he walks out and spots me later, I won't have anywhere to hide my face. Back in the dungeon, Jiang Yan's body glowed with a healing green light as he muttered, the combat intensity here is still way too harsh. If not for the recovery skill, I'd have gone to meet my ancestors 800 times over. The system board showed Jiang Yan at level 9, a mere 0.01% away from leveling up. Casting his gaze across the bloody battlefield, He evaluated that these wolves were several times stronger than the charging rabbits, with their speed, power, and intelligence not even in the same league. Gripping his blood-soaked arm, he gritted his teeth to endure the pain, knowing that despite using recovery, the agony from these wounds hadn't diminished in the slightest, yet that didn't matter. Pulling out the sword buried deep inside a wolf carcass, a fierce, resolute glint flashed in his eye. A massive shadow loomed into view, and he roared, "If I want to change the world and my own destiny, what's a little trivial pain? Now is the time for a battle between kings." Ahead, the Wolf King bared its gruesome jaws with bone-chilling green eyes as it pounced forward. The status notification dropped down instantly. Windstorm Wolf King, level 10, ruler of low-level magic beasts, born with fur that resonates with the wind element, allowing it to borrow the wind's power to boost its terrifying movement speed. With sweat beading on his forehead, Jiang Yan analyzed. This Wolf King possesses two skills, Wind Speed and Wind Blade Claw. The system clearly displayed its overpowered stats. Wind Speed increases personal speed by 20 points, while Wind Blade Claw fires remote wind claws dealing 110% physical damage. Overpowered to a fault. He frowned and considered carefully. There aren't many openings to apply modification to these two skills of its. If I blindly force a sloppy modification, I might mess up and trigger a glitch. The beast growled and stamped the ground, hurtling forward like a storm, and he mused, "Then what should I do in this situation?" Rip Jiangyan swiped his hand and yanked off his tattered, cumbersome shirt. "What else? Just solve it like a true man." The razor-sharp wind blade claw tore through the air as it lunged forward, and he smiled arrogantly while speeding up. "Aside from possessing a god-tier innate skill, I also ranked #1 in the entire school for both academics and practical combat, you punk." The moment he finished speaking, he charged straight at the monster with his sword. The scene quickly cuts back outside the rabbit zone, where Yang Huangwei and his lackey stood panting, their faces drained of all color. "Damn it, that was close, good thing we called for help in time. Oh God, being alive is truly wonderful." The gatekeeping knight stood akimbo and sneered, "Noobs who love playing with fire. How dare these puny newbies sneak into the high-end zone? Why not honestly grind levels in the basic zone?" Humiliated to the point of a bruised liver, Yang Huangwei gritted his teeth furiously. Why the hell couldn't even my whole party crawl to the boss zone? How on earth did that piece of trash Jiang Yan manage to clear it? He furiously punched his unlucky lackey in the chest. He definitely cheated, 100%. Suddenly, the electronic board chimed again to announce that the record for the Windstorm Wolf Zone had just been broken. Still Jiang Yan. Time, 29 minutes 8 seconds. His lackeys panicked to the extreme. "Boss, the old record was 1 hour and 29 minutes. That guy Jiang Yan shaved off a full hour." Staring fixedly at the glowing screen, Yang Huangwei's back exuded a madness of envy. His face twisted into a vicious smile. "Good, since you've dared to cheat this blatantly, don't blame me for being ruthless in the next step." He tossed his chin to order his followers. "Let's go to the Windstorm Wolf Zone to cheer for our dear schoolmate. This time I'll make sure your reputation is utterly destroyed." The camera pans straight back into the dungeon. A blood-soaked sword is plunged straight through the skull of the bulky Wolf King. The battle is over. Under the brilliant golden light of the level-up matrix, Jiang Yan stood shirtless, flexing his muscles and exhaling heavily, finally crawled to level 10. The second innate skill officially awakened. The system popped up notifications. Ding. Artisan class innate skill durability acquired. Farmer class innate skill grafting acquired. Current level LV10. Progress 0.3%. HP 220. Mana 1900. Spirit 245. Attack 210. Critical 10. Armor penetration +5. Defense 134. Speed 202 plus 10 plus 2 mana compatibility 100%. Awakened professions, artisan farmer, artisan class category, innate skill ranks, modify, regenerate, durability, new, grafting, new. A faint smirk crossed the scarred young man's face with satisfied murmurs. Finally caught this skill. On the chopping block, activate innate skill, modify. Tick-tock, the grafting skill was transformed by magic into all creation grafting. The system flashed red to notify. A divine skill used to breed the ultimate contracted magic beast officially fell into his hands. The detailed explanation board popped up. All creation grafting, level 1. Mana consumption, 200. Crossbreed the genes of 2 living creatures to randomly create a transcendent new life form or a piece of junk. Current success rate, 10%. Note, the higher the level, the more species can be grafted, and the greater the chance of producing a divine beast. Stroking his chin and mapping out the future, Jiang Yan thought blissfully. When this skill reaches max level, the chance of producing a transcendent product is an absolute 100%. Even though there are some limitations, this is still the most peerless god-tier innate skill. He associated this with flying magic beasts. beasts that are already powerful can attain even stronger racial ability. Creating a heaven-defying S-rank beast using two A-rank ones is highly probable. His smile grew even more cunning, and if I use a Beastmaster skill scroll to form a contract, I'll instantly have the most loyal and ferocious combat pet. Recalling old grudges, his gaze turned freezing cold. The great achievements you lot stole by exploiting me in my past life. The image of a tattered shadow forced to kneel, and service equipment repairs for the power-hungry hounds flashed through the dark corridors of his memory. Clenching the hilt of his blood-stained sword before his chest, he roared inwardly, "In this life, all of it will become my exclusive, supreme strength." The shirtless young man hoisted his sword onto his shoulder and nodded at the pile of wolf carcasses. "Not a bad haul. Guess it's time to head back." Suddenly, a glowing green gemstone dropped out from a corpse, making his eyes light up. A magic crystal dropped too. These things sell for a fortune. The drop rate is extremely low, but slotting them into equipment buffs stats like a dream. He clicked his tongue in regret. Too bad magic crystals dropped inside the training facility are association property. But no matter, now that I'm level 10, I've got the privilege to step out into the wild areas outside the Devil's Rift. Thinking of free hunting, his face bloomed like a flower. Any magic crystals or materials I find out there will go straight into my pocket. The problem of my empty wallet is about to be thoroughly resolved. Daydreaming was interrupted as pain dragged him back to reality. This wound isn't fatal, so the reincarnation innate skill can't trigger to autoheal. Sneaking to the hospital costs a ton of money, and the trouble is I'm flat broke right now. He stared intently at the bleeding claw mark on his chest, a crazy thought flashing through his mind. Or is the best way right now to grab my sword and commit suicide to trigger reincarnation and max out my HP? Glancing over at some knights cleaning up nearby, he hurriedly snuffed out that heretical idea. Besides, if I suddenly draw my sword and slit my own throat right in front of these gatekeeping knights, it's bound to cause a massive commotion. Nodding to himself in autistic agreement, he turned around and made up his mind. Better find some desolate, empty place and quietly finish myself off in peace. No sooner thought than done. The young man, with a mind-boggling approach to healing, leisurely carried his sword and walked out of the dungeon gate. The moment he popped out into the plaza, a densely packed crowd beyond imagination slammed right into his view. He blinked in bewilderment and asked himself, "How odd, why are so many people swarming here all of a sudden?" Before he could process it, a male student in the crowd excitedly pointed and shouted loudly, "Look, it's Jiang Yan, the rookie who just broke the record." He clicked his tongue, realizing his involuntary fame. Turns out those upperclassmen were attracted here just because of my record-breaking stunt. The crowd began gathering thicker and thicker. He broke out in a cold sweat, thinking to himself, "There are way too many people here right now. I definitely can't whip out a sword to commit suicide and trigger reincarnation." The wound on his body started bleeding worse. He gritted his teeth against the pain. "My injuries are worsening, and hacking and slashing myself in front of a crowd will definitely get me carted straight off to a mental asylum." Clutching his chest as he waded through the noisy crowd, he grimaced to find a way to slip away. "I gotta find a way to shake off this pack of brats." Just as he hit a dead end, a brilliant golden beam of light shaped like angel wings suddenly descended from the sky. The whole crowd gasped in astonishment, staring wide-eyed. "That's the S-rank support class, Holy Angel." Amidst that dazzling radiance, a stunningly beautiful female student with glowing wings appeared, the eldest miss of the Yao family, Yao Huahan. The surrounding guys immediately whispered, "She's from the prestigious Yao family. Can't believe the goddess personally came here too." Warm magic light enveloped Jiang Yan, instantly soothing every ache. He let out a soft sigh. "Man, this magic just saved me a fortune." The goddess retracted her wings, gently fluttering her long eyelashes as she looked at the heavily injured record breaker with eyes as calm as a lake. Feeling the refreshing sensation spread through his body, Jiang Yan politely nodded. "My wounds are mostly healed now. Thanks a lot." He smiled and made a very pragmatic offer. "Since you treated me this time, I'll cover all your equipment repairs free of charge from now on. Healing is indeed a support skill I've been craving like crazy yet lacked. Who knows, maybe we can cooperate long-term later." Hearing a repairman talk like that, Huhan didn't act snobbish at all, just offering a gentle smile. "Don't mind such a small matter. Well then, whenever my gear breaks in the future, I'll have to count on you." The romantic atmosphere had barely lasted 3 seconds before a sour voice rang out. Yang Huangwei aggressively shoved through the crowd. "Ch-ch-ch, look who it is. Turns out to be the scamming bastard." He waved his arms, craning his neck to yell at the gathering crowd. "Everyone, don't let this little punk fool you." He haughtily tilted his chin up to the sky, loudly putting him down. "His lightning-fast record clearance is actually just a cheap trick. because fundamentally, he's just a piece of trash with two pea-sized F-rank classes. The surrounding crowd dropped their jaws, buzzing with chatter. What an F-rank awakener. F-rank is a crafting system. It has no combat capability whatsoever. They whispered even louder, yet he soloed the stage, and even broke the record. Seeing public opinion turning its guns on Jiang Yan, Yang Hyungwei crossed his arms smugly and loudly accused. That's completely impossible, unless he bought an ultra-op equipment set to hack the game. He stepped forward, pressing his face right up to Jiang Yan's with a smirk full of contempt. After 3 miserable years in high school where you couldn't surpass me, you're pulling this pathetic, dirty trick to pull one over on me now. He gestured toward Jiang Yan, loudly running him down in front of everyone. Everyone here knows very well this guy is dirt poor. He pointed straight at his rival, slandering viciously, which proves he isn't poor at all. He's been scamming financial aid money from the school all this time to buy high-end gear. The crowd instantly flipped sides, buzzing with indignation. Scamming poor people's aid money. That's truly disgusting. So this was the truth all along. Jiang Yan crossed his arms, closing his eyes with a sarcastic smile. Interesting. So you want me to prove that I didn't cheat? Seeing the fish bite the hook, Yang Hyungwei triumphantly shouted, "That's right. Take off your fancy gear and fight me." He jabbed his thumb at his chest with arrogant defiance. If you win, it proves you didn't cheat. Just as the atmosphere grew taut as a bowstring, Huan panicked and stepped in front of Jiang Yan. "Jiang Yan, don't fall for his trap. You don't need to prove anything to anyone." Jiang Yan just smiled back, scratching his head awkwardly. "Thanks for worrying about me." But the young man suddenly ripped out his sword, stabbing it hard into the ground as his smile vanished, replaced by an icy gaze. "Fine, I accept your challenge." His gaze turned as sharp as a razor as he muttered inwardly, "Best to neatly settle this thorn in my eye right here, right now, before he causes more trouble and blocks my leveling path." Hearing his agreement, Yang Hyungwei threw his head back and burst out laughing. Ridiculous. A piece of trash daring to challenge an A-rank berserker. Yang Hyungwei instantly popped his frenzy skill, blazing bright red all over as he yelled, "Jiang Yan, I'm gonna beat your teeth out all over the ground and rip off your fake mask." Note, the frenzy skill burns 1% HP per minute to buff total power by 30%. Jiang Yan leisurely strolled out of the dungeon gate, smirking derisively, tossing a casual remark at the other guy. "High spirits you've got there. Hope you can keep that foul mouth of yours later." Giving an indifferent look at the burning guy in front of him, Jiang Yan mentally mocked. "Planning to use the upper-class class label to crush me. Too bad for you. To you, a class is the ultimate weapon, but to me, it's just icing on a cake." Cracking his knuckles with a pop, he nonchalantly declared, "Let me teach you a proper lesson. A true powerhouse remains a powerhouse even without awakening a class." The other guy flexed his body, an intense red aura surging like a volcanic eruption as he prepared to lunge and tear him apart. Huan stood outside, worried pale with her hands tightly interlaced, taking an F-rank crafting class to fight an A-rank combat class. This battle is completely unfair. Ignoring the dissuasion, Jiang Yan took a combat stance with an unusual calmness. "All I need to do right now is knock you out. Good thing before leaving the base, I used Modify to return all gear to its original state." Spreading his arms wide in empty-handed fashion, he thought unbothered, "So I don't have to worry about them digging up any anomalies. Right now, I don't have a single piece of equipment on me." Seeing his rival weaponless, Yang Hyungwei rushed forward with a manic smile. "HMPH, good. Your doom has finally arrived." He threw a fiery red punch that grazed past Jiang Yan's face, but he gracefully dodged it like a feather in the wind. The lackeys dropped their jaws. He dodged. Yang Hyungwei went mad with anger, throwing a flurry of rapid punches like a storm. "I don't believe it." He howled helplessly. "I can't believe you dodged every single punch of mine." Burning punches continuously tore through the air to lunge forward. Jiang Yan leisurely sidestepped left and right, fluttering around like a butterfly among flowers, thinking, "A real A-rank warrior is indeed a powerful class archetype." Jiang Yan merely smiled faintly, but throwing wild punches without hitting anything just makes you useless trap. He continued dodging an uppercut, thinking, "Flailing blindly like this just wastes stamina in vain. After 3 years of sharing classes, I've got your brute combat style memorized like the back of my hand." Taking advantage of his opponent losing momentum, Jiang Yan clenched his fist, driving a steel punch straight into the middle of Yang Hyungwei's face. "But you've never seen through me at all." Bam! A crisp sound echoed. He took a critical hit, blood spraying wildly from his nose as teeth scattered everywhere, stumbling back a few steps and roaring in pain. "Ah, what the hell? How can this be?" The powerful punch sent the berserker flying backward, wiping out hard on the ground under the stunned gazes of hundreds of eyes. The lackeys panicked and screamed, "Boss." Jiang Yan stood there dusting off his hands, dropping a nonchalant yet lethal remark. Looks like in the end, I'm still standing one tier above. The crowd erupted into a chaotic uproar, unable to believe their eyes while his sycophantic lackeys clutched their heads in pure despair. This is impossible. An F-rank crafting class actually knocked out an A-rank berserker. After handling his nemesis, Jiang Yan leisurely brushed off his hands again. That settles that. There's no reason to waste any more time hanging around. Slinging his sword over his shoulder, he strode forward with his head held high, parting the crowd as he made his way out while mentally calculating. Next up, I'll be heading out into the wilderness. First things first, I need to kit myself out with some decent gear. The corners of his mouth twitched upward into a confident curve. With the modification skill in my hands, getting my hands on top-tier equipment is absolute child's play. He rubbed the back of his neck as he planned, except I already returned the starter gear issued by the association. The first step is buying some cheap junk to use as modification substrates. Guess I'll have to stroll around the stalls and see what's available. Pulling open his wallet compartment, he looked depressedly at the lonely little coins sitting bare in his palm. With this flat-broke wallet of mine, even just browsing the market stalls is going to be a tough trial. Out of nowhere, a flying punch lunged forward from behind, aiming straight for his head. Without a shred of panic, Jiang Yan casually reached out and caught the target cleanly in a fraction of a second. He glared at the person who threw it and nagged, "Is this your usual cheap little trick again?" Wang Qingfeng strolled forward with a hearty laugh, impressed, as expected of the guy who dominated the top spot in both academics and practicals for 3 straight years. He raised a hand in a friendly greeting. "Arch rival, catch this." Popping open a soda can, Jiang Yan casually asked, "When I was beating up Yang Hyunwei earlier, you were standing there watching too, right?" Wang Qingfeng shrugged and replied, "Naturally. If you couldn't take him down, I would have had to step in and save the day." Qingfeng's gaze suddenly turned serious. "After all, you're the only rival I acknowledge. As for trash like Yang Hyunwei, I couldn't care less about." Jiang Yan gave a faint smirk, replying with a hint of hidden meaning. "Too bad I wasn't even fighting for real back then." That sentence dragged both of them back to their freshman year duel. Back then, Wang Qingfeng took a thorough beating before helplessly raising his hand to surrender. "I give up." Returning to the present, Jiang Yan tilted his head back for a gulp of drink and teased, "Ever since that match, you voluntarily forfeited every single year." He looked at his classmate, lowering his voice with sincere tone. "You intentionally let me have the top scholarship spot, didn't you? After all, you're a filthy rich young master. You certainly don't care about pocket change like that." Qingfeng burst out laughing, waving his hand in denial. "Not at all. It's simply because the look in your eyes when you fight is just too damn ruthless." Jiang Yan raised an eyebrow to probe. "So if the two of us clash in this year's National Rookie Tournament, are you planning to surrender again?" Wang Qingfeng flashed a radiant yet fiery smile. "Keep dreaming. That's never going to happen. This year, I'm going to punch your teeth out so fast you won't even have time to pick them up." The gazes of the two youths locked, sparking with competitive heat. Jiang Yan clinked his kin against his with a crisp chime. "Bring it on. I'll take you on with everything I've got." Saying that, Qingfeng suddenly pulled out an authoritative black card and tossed it over to Jiang Yan. "There's 20,000 credits on here. Consider it me buying your high-speed clearance strategy for the Storm Wolf Zone." The wealthy young master turned around and walked away, not forgetting to wave. "Make sure you copy down that strategy and hand it over to me soon." Catching the black card neatly in his hand, Jiang Yan watched his departing friend and softly replied, "You got it." He smiled faintly, etching this gesture of goodwill deep in his heart. "I'll remember this favor. One day, I'll definitely pay you back tenfold." Stashing the card into his pocket, his mood suddenly brightened up immensely. "Now that I've got sponsorship money, I can finally browse the street stalls properly." His steps grew brisk and enthusiastic. He licked his lips. "Let's see what kind of treasure is waiting for me to snap up." Before long, he found himself swallowed up by the underground black market, chaotic, stuffy, but bustling with people. Strolling past makeshift tarpaulin stalls, he reviewed his memories. "This is the cheapest black market I remember. Most of the stuff here is basic junk. The chance of panning for gold here is practically zero." But his gaze turned sharp as a hunting falcon. "Not entirely impossible." Stopping in front of a rather quirky stall, a boss wearing sunglasses sat cross-legged lazily next to a crudely scribbled cardboard sign, "Selling used weapons." Smashing straight into Jiang Yan's view was a sword radiating a piercing icy chill, a frost demon sword embedded with a storm wolf's magic core. The stats panel reported, E-rank equipment, level 10, durability 72%, melee attacks come with a freezing slow effect, pretty high-end. Seeing a customer eyeing it, the stall owner immediately quoted a firm price, 18,000 credits, final offer. If its durability were still at 100%, I'd have to sell it for at least 25,000. Jiang Yan broke into a cold sweat and groaned inwardly. Knew it. Absolute highway robbery. Shifting his focus to a shabby, rusted sword stuck right next to it, he asked, "What about this one?" The lazy vendor replied, "That one's 5,000. The system calls it an E-rank bronze sword. Durability is 62%. The corners of Jiang Yan's mouth twitched into a smirk. He launched a lightning-fast bargaining strike. "If I restore the durability of that frost demon sword to max, you have to gift me this bronze sword for free. Deal or no deal?" The stall owner startled, pulling his sunglasses down in shock as he stared wide-eyed at the student kid. "Huh, you can actually pull that off." Without wasting words, Jiang Yan muttered inwardly, "Activate skill, durability." A sphere of magical light materialized in his hand, lighting up the entire alleyway. "Whether it works or not, trying it out doesn't hurt, does it, big bro?" Though he acted seductive on the outside, this crafty youth was scheming wildly inside. "From the very beginning, my target was never that frost demon sword." His gaze glued itself to the shabby rusted sword, burning with greed. "My real target is the hidden, disguised azure steel sword inside it. Because once that item is in my hands, with a single modification, that piece of scrap iron will instantly transform into a legendary divine artifact that shakes the martial world." The vendor remained skeptical, pushing up his sunglasses to scrutinize him. "What rank class are you, kid? Do you even actually have the durability skill? Restoring weapon durability requires extreme precision. The difficulty is no joke." The stall owner sneered dismissively, looking at the glowing orb in Jiang Yan's hand and dropping a blunt verdict. "A repairman, F-rank crafting type class." He thumped his chest proudly, putting on airs in front of the student kid. "I'm a crafting type class too. Furthermore, I'm a D-rank blacksmith, mind you." Pointing at the pile of junk on the tarp, he assumed a senior posture to lecture him. "I know way more about weapons than you do. Even I wouldn't dare guarantee I can restore its durability. I'm only saying this because you're a student." In truth, Jiang Yan knew a fundamental rule of this world very well. Once a weapon's durability drops to zero, it's completely ruined. He muttered, assessing the situation like a true expert. Restoring durability requires sensing the weapon's structure, thoroughly understanding its inner mana before you can reconstruct. The sunglasses-wearing guy stubbornly kept threatening him, hedging his bets with a price tag. "Once the repair fails, the durability will drop even more tragically. So if you break it, you have to compensate me 18,000. What do you say?" Key Hand, who was eavesdropping in the crowd, muttered in agreement. "That vendor isn't wrong. Even the tier B crafters in my guild can't easily restore weapon durability." Jiang Yan didn't bother arguing, simply placing his hand on the blade and replying indifferently. "Then you better open your eyes real wide and watch closely." Magical light burst forth brilliantly. He smirked with the pride of a reincarnator. "In my past life, the things I fixed for big shots were all A-rank or even S-rank treasures." Memories of his grinding days flooded back while casting the skill. Normally, people who awaken F-rank repairman classes just give up and lie flat, accepting their fate. But past me, out of a habit of wanting everything to be top tier, stubbornly pushed and honed this durability skill. Jiang Yan broke into a radiant, confident smile. "And now, that habit has become one of my most powerful trump cards." Streams of mana flowed smoothly under his skillful guidance. Fixing these 3 ratty low-tier items is as easy as pie. The surrounding crowd dropped their jaws in utter shock, instantly bursting into astonished whispers. "So dope. He's clearly just a student, yet his operations are so smooth. An F-rank class. How the hell did a powerhouse like him pop out?" Keyhand stared unblinking as well. "I thought he was just being polite earlier when he offered to fix my gear. Who would have thought he could actually pull it off?" Jiang Yan withdrew his hand, casually handing back the perfectly mended item. "Here, all fixed." The stall owner hastily took off his sunglasses, petting the sword like he had just struck gold. "My brother, this big brother here was blind. You're truly a rare talent." True to his word, though it ached in his heart, he still shoved the rusted bronze sword into Jiang Yan's hands. "Take it. This belongs to you now." Jiang Yan cheered inwardly, turning away with a faint smirk. "Many thanks then. Next up, with just a single character change, it will instantly transform into a pseudo-divine artifact." Instantly, his palm flashed. The divine skill modification was activated. The system notified, the old name has been changed. The character Steel was changed to Crimson. The Azure Steel Sword was renamed to the Crimson Heaven Sword. The glorious beauty of the sword shone brightly in the ambitious youth's mind. "That is a legendary ancient divine sword. It once went through life and death with a famed warrior general, charging in and out of enemy encirclements 7 times. Storing the priceless treasure into his inventory, the youth began doing some very practical family economic math. "I've got a weapon now. The 2,000 credits in my pocket can probably be saved. After all, college entrance tuition requires a huge chunk of cash." His gaze softened, turning tender as he thought of his little sister. Because of our parents' sudden passing, my sister still hasn't gotten over the shock. He let out a heavy sigh, carrying the heavy burden of being an older brother. Even though I know her future will be extraordinary, for now, she's still just an autistic little kid. Before going to college, I still need to prepare some living expenses for this silly girl. Student Jiang Yan, can you hire me to carry you through level? Interrupted mid-thought, Jiang Yan turned his head back, raising an eyebrow in curiosity. That voice sounds awfully familiar. Turns out it was the pretty girl from the crowd earlier. She named a figure that almost made the youth choke. If you agree, I can pay you 50,000 credits. Just carry me up to level 10. Naturally, how could Jiang Yan refuse such a lucrative gig? Of course. The girl breathed a sigh of relief. Awesome. He beamed brightly, celebrating inwardly like he had just hit the jackpot. Speak of the devil. Money literally walked up and knocked on my door. Not stopping there, this young sugar mommy immediately turned to the weapon stall to shop. Boss, please get me that frost demon sword. I'm buying it. The stall owner hurriedly put on an arrogant facade, quoting an exorbitant price, 25,000. Its durability is at 100% right now. Does the young lady really want to buy it? Kihan smoothly drew a stack of cash from the void and handed it to him, making the vendor jump in shock and break into a cold sweat. Count it and see. The stall owner dropped his jaw. It's a storage ring. Turns out she's the eldest daughter of a prestigious noble family. The stall owner abjectly groveled, carefully presenting the frost demon sword with both hands like an offering. Please accept this, eldest miss. Jiang Yan glanced at the bootlicking flip-flop, sneering inwardly. These street vendors have really never seen anyone with money before. You can tell by the way this young lady dresses that she's wearing expensive designer gear. Otherwise, why would I believe she could swipe 50,000 credits for me? After paying, Miss Ki Hen used both hands to awkwardly hug the oversized heavy sword, staggering as she walked in a rather pitiful sight. But Jiang Yan was busy plotting a grander scheme in his head. While carrying her through leveling, maybe he could make use of her support skill. Go challenge the boss I never dared to touch in my past life. Maybe I'll scoop up another level. Struggling to drag her feet over to him, the girl panted heavily, shyly offering the sword. Jiang Yan, consider this weapon a greeting gift from me. Please don't look down on it. Jiang Yan was stunned for a second, his heart fluttering slightly. She bought it and gifted it to me straight away. Well, this eldest miss turns out to be quite sensible and smart. Without playing hard to get, the youth reached out and took the frost demon's sword as if it weighed nothing. Then I won't stand on ceremony. The girl smiled softly and replied, thank you. Yao Qihen watched his retreating figure, her eyes sparkling with the calm, calculating demeanor of someone from an elite background. Good thing he likes it. Even though he's only an F-rank class, I always have a feeling this guy's future will be immeasurably brilliant. Help him out first. Consider it planting a seed of good karma. With top-tier gear in hand, Jiang Yan slung his sword over his shoulder, blazing ahead with fiery morale. No time to waste. I'm going to fly you straight to the rookie training facility right now. The girl cheerfully nodded and followed along. MHM. Before long, both of them stood before the grand estate of the rookie training facility. Without wasting words, Jiang Yan charged in and slaughtered rabbit monsters like chopping vegetables. EXP kept popping up continuously, making Kihen blurt out, the speed is insane. She leisurely leached EXP, rocketing from level 3 to level 5 in a flash. Riding the wave of victory, his sword slashed out, splitting a massive storm wolf in half. The system instantly popped up glowing red notifications. Jiang Yan and Yao Qihen broke the clearance time record for the ramming rabbit dungeon. Jiang Yan and Yao Qihen broke the clearance time record for the storm wolf dungeon. The achievement board in the center of the training ground flickered constantly, broadcasting the names of the two who had just swept through and set new records. The students watching below dropped their jaws, buzzing with discussion. It's that monster Jiang Yan breaking records again. Looks like that kid is dragging a girl along with him this time. Yao Qihen, could she be from that prestigious Yao family? A young man scratched his head blankly and asked, which Yao family? Causing his buddy beside him to roll his eyes in disbelief. Because that family background is so terrifyingly huge that anyone who hears it shudders in caution. They're one of the top 10 national-level commercial guilds, the Mighty Guild. The owner of that colossal guild is named Yao. On a battlefield covered in golden sand, the Yao eldest miss leaned on her staff, panting heavily as her legs turned jelly-like, threatening to buckle. I'm just a tiny bit short of hitting level 10. Should we take a short break? Jiang Yan turned around and replied blankly, showing zero chivalry. Rest while walking. Given your current physical constitution, you'll definitely be fine. The stats panel reported he had reached level 13. Jiang Yan's eyes burned with massive ambition. The image of a terrifying monster flashed in his mind. Since we have your mega-sized S-rank support buff, I want to try challenging it. An arrogant smile bloomed on the reckless youth's lips. the only base among all rookie training grounds that reaches C-rank danger level, the Dark Wild Boar base. Soon after, both stood before a massive, fortified gate radiating a gloomy, deadly atmosphere. Wild Boar Training Base. The proctor spotted him and advised, "Jiang Yan, I know you're very good, even though you swept through and broke clearance time records for the other bases. The Dark Wild Boar King, its death level danger is way higher than the Ramming Rabbit and Storm Wolf." Jiang Yan slung his sword behind his back, shrugging offhandedly like he owned the world. The bigger the risk, the greater the reward. If you don't dare take a gamble, you'll never get a better opportunity. He glanced sideways at the timid girl clutching her magic staff, triumphantly concluding, "Besides, I've got an S-rank support wet nurse tagging along now. This is undoubtedly a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity." The dazzling portal opened. The proctor sighed and stepped aside. "Then good luck to you both." Jiang Yan strode in, strutting with the majestic poise of a god taking a stroll. "I'll gladly accept your auspicious words, sir." Stepping through the portal, the two found themselves swallowed up by a dense, spine-chillingly silent forest. Kihan looked around apprehensively. How come there are no low-tier monsters blocking the way?" Jiang Yan stopped in his tracks, his gaze turning razor-sharp like a falcon locking onto its prey. "Because there are no low-tier monsters in this base to begin with. There's only one boss here." Kihan turned pale, swallowing hard in a start. Only a single boss here." The ground suddenly shook violently. Jiang Yan reached out to grip the hilt of the frost demon sword, his voice turning icy cold. "It's here." A colossal dark shadow loomed into view, casting a suffocating pressure over the entire space. Kihan trembled as she backed away, blunting out, The monster is huge." Meanwhile, Jiang Yan smiled radiantly, his fighting spirit boiling over. "This guy is actually worthy of being my opponent." The Boar King roared to assert dominance, its eyes flashing with a murderous red glare. The system stats panel popped up with a warning. Level 15 Darkflame Wild Boar King, innate skill, Darkflame Charge. It carried a tyrannical blue flame with temperatures reaching up to 200 degrees Celsius. He assumed a defensive stance, coldly instructing the support nurse behind him, "Get ready, cast Divine Healing Light on me." Kihan nodded solemnly, "Okay." Without letting the opponent strike first, Jiang Yan lunged forward like an arrow piercing through the wind, to deal with powerful monsters. He leaped into the air, funneling all his strength into his legs. "You have to seize the initiative." The sword swung upward, tracing a sharp half-moon arc, borrowing gravity and rotational force to slash at its neck. However, that elite pig seemed to have sniffed out the killing intent, hastily lifting its head to parry. The two forces collided, scattering sparks midair. Jiang Yan frowned, calculating his next move. It jumped up. "That means I can't slash its neck. This pig is pretty smart too." However, necessity is the mother of invention, and this crafty youth instantly came up with a scheming idea. "But I can seize the moment while airborne." Modifying the name of the Azure Steel Sword, Yao Kihan definitely won't notice a thing. His eyes flashed with a mystical glow, the familiar incantation ringing out authoritatively as he triggered the modification skill. Sparkling gold light enveloped the blade, bending the character steel into crimson. Jiang Yan smirked and roared, "Azure Steel Sword modified to Crimson Heaven Sword. You could block the Azure Steel Sword, but you definitely can't block the Crimson Heaven Sword." In the blink of an eye, the junk item upgraded into an A+ grade treasure. Crimson Heaven Sword, pseudo-A grade quality. Description: a replica of a legendary military general's sword from folklore, but even as a replica it possesses immense might, attack attributes +300, armor penetration +90, agility +60 passive, cuts through iron like mud pseudo, 3% probability to bypass opponents' armor and directly slash them. The youth mentally analyzed with cool rationality. As expected, even the divine modification skill cannot directly ignore the laws of physics to create a true divine artifact. Even so, this was already a super high-return investment for him. For now, this was more than enough. Attack power increased fivefold, bundled with armor penetration and agility, and even carrying a heaven-defying passive. At this moment, the Crimson Heaven Sword slashed down like it wanted to tear the sky apart. The advantage is mine now. The sharp, cold blade swept horizontally, neatly slicing off the monster's steel-hard giant tusk. The Wild Boar King shrieked miserably in agonizing pain, the blue flames on its body flaring wildly out of fury. Lightning fast, Jiang Yan seized the moment to swap the sword back to its original state, muttering carefully, "Change it back, don't let Yao Kihan spot any flaws." Watching from afar, Kihan couldn't believe her eyes. Is this the kind of power an E-rank weapon can pull off? A single sword strike cut off the monster's hardest tusk. The young Mrs. Brain began spinning its own god-tier narrative. No, absolutely impossible. That wasn't the achievement of an E-rank weapon. It was all thanks to Jiang Yan. Her gaze looking at that sturdy back overflowed with adoration. It's because he himself is too strong. An F-rank class breaking this many records, his combat technique must far surpass ordinary combat classes. Jiang Yan turned back to look at the girl's dazed expression, breaking into a cold sweat as he thought. This girl is probably hallucinating some bizarre plot in her head, but why is she just standing there spacing out now? He hurriedly shouted to wake up the sleepwalking wet nurse. Hey, cast holy light on me, otherwise the next strike I use to finish off that pig won't share any EXP with you. Kihan snapped out of it, frantically waving her magic staff to chant. Ah, right, thanks for the reminder. Holy light was instantly wrapped in a super warm halo. Jiang Yan lunged forward with burning killing intent. Let's finish off this boar king right now. He continued exploring his crafty playstyle, using the modification skill as an instant cast attack, which could also be considered a novel method of offense. Staring intently at the Crimson Heaven sword in his hands started itching again. For the next move, let's try modifying its name. What could the heaven-subduing blade be modified into? Demon God, Demon King, or God-subduing blade? But pausing for a second, his cool head dismissed the arrogant thought. The tier of that name is too high. Either the modification fails, or it might backfire on me. Better not risk it. On the other side, the Boar King had gone completely berserk, its entire body blazing with emerald flames as it prepared its ultimate move. Dark Flame Wild Boar King activates its innate skill, Dark Flame Charge. Jiang Yan calmly gripped his sword hilt, facing the Grim Reaper with utter composure. Right on time, I wanted to end this fight anyway. A blazing spirit surged forward at rocket speed, crushing everything in its path. Facing that nightmare, the youth smirked cunningly. Dark Flame Charge coming in hot. What should I change you into to make it fun? Got it, exactly that. Jiang Yan tilted his head back slightly to instruct. Yao Qihan, close your eyes. Qihan panicked utterly, blinking blankly as she asked, why? Jiang Yan put on the air of an experienced senior, dropping his voice to protect the beauty's eyes. Trust me, you definitely don't want to see the next scene. Qihan obediently squeezed her eyes shut, trembling as she replied, Is it super bloody? Okay then. He calmly raised a finger toward the ferocious flame, lunging directly at. The word-bending mage snapped his fingers with a sharp crack, uttering a hilarious death sentence as he triggered the modification skill, changing its Dark Flame Charge into Dark Flame Slow Charge with sluggish buffer. The system chimed a pleasant ting, the modification successfully activating. The blazing tyrannical dark flame abruptly slowed down centimeter by centimeter like a crawling turtle. The Boar King stood there dumbfounded with a question mark. Since when is a slow pig completely harmless? Jiang Yan drew his sword and leaped into the air, a judgmental smile plastered across his face. It's over. At the same time, the system flashed again, reverting the weapon back to the Crimson Heaven sword. A massive, glowing golden sword beam tore through the gloomy dark night. With a loud crash, the monster was split in two and collapsed. The glowing red system notification blared. Dark Flame Wild Boar King has been slain. EXP poured out like a roaring waterfall. Jiang Yan stretched happily, leaping 2 levels straight from level 14 to level 15, truly living up to the strongest boss of the rookie training ground. Behind him, Yao Huahan was also submerged in the brilliant light of leveling up, stammering in stunned ecstasy. I leveled up and jumped 3 levels straight from level 10 to level 12. Jiang Yan, did you really just kill that single monster? In truth, the cunning young man leisurely strolled over while scratching his chin and calculating, having told her to close her eyes precisely to prevent her from discovering him using his modification skill. Looking at the clueless young heiress, he mentally gave her a solid 10 out of times. She was obedient, wealthy, and knew how to heal, truly a rare and exceptional teammate, and he definitely added her to his consideration list for future dungeon-crawling parties. Clearing his throat to sound professional, he called out, You can open your eyes now. The leveling quest you entrusted me with is done. Huahan timidly fluttered open her crystal-clear, round eyes which still held a trace of panic. Striking her view was the gigantic corpse of the once majestic Pig King, leaving her breathless with astonishment. He actually pulled it off. The young lady's mind was filled with fireworks of admiration bursting everywhere. To single-handedly slaughter such a formidable monster, that's just amazing. Jiang Yan casually hoisted his sword onto his shoulder and started walking. Mission accomplished, let's head outside. Huahan hurried to keep up. Okay. Looking at that cold, ruthless back, Huahan once again romanticized an illustrious image in her mind. He's truly a rare talent, and on top of that, such a kind, gentle, and contract-abiding person. Suddenly remembering something important, she hurriedly called out to stop him. Wait, please wait a moment. Jiang Yan raised an eyebrow and turned his head. Huahan timidly produced a small box. This is the bounty promised to you, along with a little token of appreciation. Jiang Yan's eyes widened, instantly recognizing top-tier loot. an inventory ring. You must know that only through permanent spatial magic crystals could an inventory ring be crafted, a piece of high-end gear capable of storing items by ignoring all laws of physics. Although drooling with desire, the young man maintained his lofty stance and waved his hand in refusal. This token of yours is far too precious. I can't accept it, especially since a single 1 cubic meter inventory ring can fetch up to several 100,000. Huan resolutely pushed it toward him, her sincere eyes brimming with sincerity. You need it more than I do, I can tell. You helped me gain 2 extra levels beyond quota. This is a reward you thoroughly deserve. Jiang Yan clicked his tongue. This excuse is too reasonable, and since I have to head outside the city to level up soon, this thing is indeed extremely convenient. Decisively reaching out to accept the luxury item, he stated, all right, I'll take it. But the fair-minded nature of a powerhouse flared up, and he loftily sealed the deal to compensate. From now on, provided it doesn't violate my principles, I can unconditionally help you with one favor. Transaction concluded, the two leisurely walked side by side through the dim-lit forest. Let's go, the leveling is done, let's head out first. Huan cheerfully nodded. The moment they popped out of the base, the atmosphere was boiling over with chatter around the leaderboard. This year's rookie-level leaderboard is fiercely competitive. After all, our Nanrong City has an exceptionally high number of S-rank and A-rank main combat classes this year, especially Nanrong No. 7 High School, which reportedly awakened 3 S-rank main combat classes in one go. Staring at the name Jiang Yan at LV-15 proudly sitting at number 1, he crossed his arms and calmly analyzed. Even though I'm in first place right now, I'm afraid I'll be caught up very soon, since the guys tailing behind me are all top-tier awakened elites. Those geniuses are indeed no pushovers. Li Yufeng from Nanrong No. 3 High School, proficient in both academics and combat, an S-rank sword saint dubbed unmatched in close quarter. Zhang Hong from Nanrong No. 9 High School, top-ranked A-rank blazing berserker with ultra-high attack power. Lu Yuan, an S-rank wind assassin with extremely flexible elemental close combat skills, specializing in raids. Jiang Yan's eyes flashed with the excitement of a seasoned predator. They are all dazzling figures from my past life. To climb to the top of Nanrong City's centenary ranking, they will definitely be obstacles blocking my path. The corners of his lips curved into a proud and expectant smile. Right now, I'm really looking forward to the moment I cross swords with your excellencies. But his eyes suddenly flickered as the image of family flashed through his mind. Jiang Yan's gaze suddenly dropped, his train of thought dragging him back to heartbreaking reality. I need to make a trip home. Memories of his past life rushed back like the slash of a knife. Back then, he was dragged away and exploited by big shots, leaving his younger sister to grow up entirely alone in solitude. But living this life over, he was determined to make up for this regret. He waved his hand to bid farewell to his newly acquainted wealthy benefactor with a decisive demeanor. I have some business, please excuse me first. Huan obediently waved back with lingering attachment. Goodbye, let's team up for a dungeon together again if we get the chance. Beneath the sunset, the teenager's retreating figure gradually faded into the dilapidated, time-scarred slums. In my past life after being taken away, I never once got to return home, and news about my sister came only through random scraps carelessly tossed my way by others. Though he clearly knew the overpowered potential of that little girl, that in the future she would awaken an immensely powerful A-rank combat class, the present Jiang Dao. The soft creak of a door opening broke the stillness of the small house, and a skinny little girl greeted him at the door with a flat, lifeless voice. Second brother, you're back, let's eat. The system lightly pinged with information. Jiang Dao, 15 years old, 9th grade student. This little girl right now was still just a middle school student with mild autistic tendency. Looking at the meager meal, Jiang Yan sighed with heartache. Ever since their parents sacrificed their lives, the little girl had always kept this gloomy, sullen look. The scene of a happy family from 3 years ago played back like a rewinded movie. 3 years ago, when their parents were still healthy, she wasn't like this at all, and Jiang Dao back then was much more cheerful and lively than now. The cruelty of the monster world had robbed the little girl of her smile, and the sudden departure of their parents was simply too huge, a shock crashing down on her head. While halfway through a bite of rice, Jiang Dao suddenly put down her chopsticks and dropped a bombshell. Second brother, I plan to drop out of school. Jiang Yan froze, staring wide-eyed at his biological sister. Why? Frowning into the strict older brother persona, he pressed. The high school entrance exams are coming up, and your scores for both academics and combat are all A-rank. With such brilliant grades, why on earth are you suddenly asking to drop out? The young girl lowered her head and gently nudged her chopsticks. I saw your leaderboard ranking, big brother. You got first place on the Nanrong City rookie-level leaderboard this term. Her voice carried pride mixed with heartache. Big Brother works hard and perseveres every single time, and in the future, you'll definitely become an extremely formidable awakener who protects this whole world. Her subsequent words shifted into a tone of pessimism and self-doubt. As for me, even if my academic and combat scores are a rank, with my current condition, I won't amount to anything anyway. Her small hands tightly clutched her hem. Might as well drop out now and go find a part-time job. At least that way I can help pitch in for the family's living expenses. Hearing this, Jiang Yan sighed, using his sharp intuition to read right through his sister's heart. I know this isn't what you really think at all. Speak, I want to hear the real reason. The squeaky wooden door suddenly rattled from outside, shattering the tense atmosphere. A middle-aged man carrying a briefcase poked his head in and smiled awkwardly. Xiao Dao, hello there. Seeing the two siblings staring at him with looks that could kill, he awkwardly rubbed the back of his neck. Uncle, did I come at a bad time? But he still brazenly planted himself down on the sofa, rubbing his face as he lamented his poverty and hardships. Uncle's loan company hasn't been doing well lately either, and can't stay afloat anymore. Otherwise, I wouldn't have dared show my face here to collect. Jiang Yan mentally reviewed the creditor's file. This guy was Uncle Quan, owner of the Quan Rescue high-interest loan company, and a portion of his and his sister's living expenses over the past 2 years had to be borrowed from him. Glancing at his sister's unusual submissive demeanor, the observant older brother instantly guessed the situation. Uncle Quan must have come here once already today, and that's the real reason why the kid wants to drop out. Looks like I understand. Heartache welled up in the teenage boy's chest as he looked at his little sister. She saw his ranking, knew he had a future, but the household couldn't scrape together any source of income. He smiled faintly and sorrowfully at the silly girl's intentions. She didn't want to become his burden anymore, and would rather sacrifice her own future by slogging away at menial jobs just to grind out money and send him to college. Finishing his thoughts, Jiang Yan stood up abruptly, cutting straight to the point with an overbearing demeanor. Uncle Quan, bottom line, how much do we owe you in total over the past 2 years? The uncle rubbed his forehead in calculation, putting on a troubled face while rattling off exact numbers. The principal alone without interest comes to around 43,000. Uncle Quan knows your family's situation is tough, but this time. Before the guy could finish his sentence, Jiang Yan tossed a powerful card flying straight into his hands. There are 50,000 yuan on this card. Take the extra 6,000 as interest for yourself. The stunned creditor popped his eyes wide. Are really? Jiang Dao sat frozen like a wooden log, her eyes wide with extreme bewilderment. Big brother, where on earth did you dig up a huge sum of 50,000 yuan? Jiang Yan glanced at the debt-collecting uncle, thinking he needed to explain to put his sister at ease, though having an outsider present was a bit annoying. Catching the hint to scram, Uncle Quan tactfully beat a hasty retreat. WL then, Uncle will head back first. If you ever need Uncle Quan's help with anything in the future, just get in touch. The moment the door shut, Jiang Dao instantly welled up with worried tears. Big brother, if you used illegal means to get this money, Mom and Dad in heaven will surely. Seeing the silly girl overthinking things, Jiang Yan offered a gentle smile and gently stroked his sister's hair. That's money your big brother earned himself fair and square based on his own skill. Exuding an overwhelming aura of confidence, he declared loudly, you don't need to worry about anything from now on. Your big brother is going to become the top-ranked rookie on Nanrong City's leaderboard and the top scorer of the Nanrong College entrance exams. The prize money alone reaches up to 300,000 yuan. Patting the little girl's shoulder, he wrapped up with pampering finality. So you don't need to sacrifice your own future doing manual labor to fund my college education. Jiang Dao raised her tear-filled, round eyes and choked out, Big brother, did you figure all of this out? Jiang Yan shoved the stack of money into his sister's hands with grand generosity. Take it, your big brother doesn't lack money at all. I've got plenty of ways to make it. I just haven't gotten around to using them yet. He broke into a radiant smile, teasing to chase away the gloomy atmosphere. Just study hard and practice properly. Once your big brother reaches the peak of glory, the pressure on your future is going to be huge. Naturally, he added a layer of encouraging psychological manipulation, because by then everyone will treat you as the top powerhouse's younger sister, so it'd be super embarrassing if you aren't the strongest in your own class. Tears streamed down Jiang Dao's face in droves as she bit her lip tightly, holding back her overwhelming emotions. Big brother. The little girl lunged forward to hug her brother tightly, sobbing out a promise. Big brother, I will definitely, absolutely not bring shame to the Jiang family. Holding his sister in his arms, Jiang Yan's eyes flashed with ironclad determination. Looks like next time I need to figure out a way to make money and level up simultaneously. The top scholar spot of Nanrong City has got to be mine. The reborn mind began scanning the world map again. Inside the demon abyss of Nanrong City, located outside human-occupied territory, lay an extremely ideal natural farming zone. That place was none other than the Poison Dragon Valley. He smirked mentally. Poison Dragon Valley, a place brimming with danger yet packed with opportunities. The monsters gathering densely, there make it the absolute fastest place for me to level up at the current stage. The image of a giant dragon flashed through his memories. Legend had it that deep within Poison Dragon Valley, there was even a hidden dragon-type magic beast. If I can snatch a dragon egg, my all-creation grafting skill will finally have a place to shine. Thinking of a glowing jade-green egg, the young man couldn't help getting excited. Who knows, maybe I can breed a formidable combat assistant. The corners of his mouth twitched as he calculated the economic benefits. And who says I might not strike it rich selling a bunch of magic crystal? His gaze brimmed with the ambition of a powerhouse as he locked in his decision. Let's go with that. I'll head there tomorrow. Let Poison Dragon Valley be my very first stop on the path to exploring the Demon Abyss world. The next morning, a bus rumbled up to the spine-chilling red gates of the Abyss. A broadcast voice played evenly. Dear passengers, the Nanrong Abyss station has arrived. Please exit through the rear door. Please mind your safety when exiting and be careful when opening the door. Jiang Yan swaggered off the bus, coolly analyzing. To head out into the wilderness of the Abyss, you first have to step inside the Abyss itself, and by this time of day, there must be quite a few people in there. Looking up at the colossal tower piercing the blood-red sky, he muttered, "This is the Nanrong Abyss." In the real world of Nanrong City, this place was just the passage leading to the Abyss, whereas inside the Abyss lay the human stronghold of Nanrong Abyss City, one of the fortified outposts for humanity to resist the invasion of magic beasts. But deep within his memory, the images of two powerful figures surfaced, leaving him cold. Nanrong Abyss City is guarded by two venerables above level 70. In my past life, I was once forced to pay quite a bit of tribute to them. Stepping into the bustling safe zone, what met his eyes was a continuous stream of moving adventurers. After entering the Abyss, most people equipped their gear right on their bodies for combat convenience, and at a glance, you could tell every single piece was good, expensive stuff. He casually touched the ring on his finger, offering a mocking smile. Compared to the inventory ring Yao Huahen gave me, the value of these puny trinkets is truly nothing. Gotta admit that little heiress is filthy rich. Before long, he walked straight through the crowded residential area. The East Gate, stepping out from this gate, is the shortest route leading to the Poison Dragon Valley I'm aiming for. The complex terrain map appeared clearly in the prodigy's brain. Within the explored environment of the Abyss, Poison Dragon Valley is relatively the safest. The magic beasts living there mostly range only from level 13 to level 18. He confidently smirked. Everything is under control. That's the most suitable farming zone for me right now. Arriving at the checkpoint, Jiang Yan casually pulled out his student ID to present it, which clearly displayed the awkward information. Farmer, repairman. The guard post soldier stared wide-eyed at the student ID and then back at the scholarly young man, hastily trying to dissuade him. And Efrank awakened. Are you sure you want to go into Poison Dragon Valley all by yourself? The wilderness outside the Abyss isn't child's play like those rookie training zones. Going out there means losing your life for real. Jiang Yan merely nodded politely, taking back his ID with an extraordinarily calm demeanor. Thanks for your concern. I'm sure I'll make it back alive. The veteran guard broke out in a cold sweat, gritting his teeth to play the good guy. He couldn't just let this kid go throw his life away for nothing. Even a trash effort class was still a human life after all. He stretched out an iron-armored hand, intending to grab the young man by the collar. Gotta hold this kid back. But the hand just grabbed empty air as Jiang Yan's figure smoothly slipped past like an invisible phantom, causing the grab to miss completely. The veteran guard dropped his jaw, cold sweat breaking out on his forehead from severe shock. This kid actually dodged my grab, and I'm a level 30 awake. The nearby guard hurried over and yanked the captain's arm back, explaining in a panic. Captain, don't chase after him. That kid is Jiang Yan, the guy who easily ignores class disparities. That's the same Jiang Yan who single-handedly shattered all-time records in the rookie training facility. Hearing this, the captain froze as he watched the arrogant retreating figure gradually fade away, muttering, Rumor has it he's also the top scorer in both academics and combat at Nanrong No. 1 High School, and a heavy contender for Nanrong City's top scholar this year. And Efrank awakened. How on earth can he be this strong? The old captain tugged at his hair, feeling his worldview completely collapse. Absurd. Even the S-rank awakened geniuses of past years couldn't pull off such a crazy combat record. Leaving behind the guard's astonishment, Jiang Yan officially set foot in the notorious death territory known as Poison Dragon Valley. A dark, gloomy atmosphere filled with deep blue poisonous miasma blanketed the space, with sheer cliffs blocking out the sky. The young man leisurely pulled a glowing blue elixir out of his inventory ring, carefully examining it. The only real problem with Poison Dragon Valley is the miasma filling everywhere. A detox pill is truly an indispensable life-saving item. Tossing the elixir into his mouth, he clicked his tongue in meticulous calculation. This detox pill costs 50 yuan each, and the duration is only 3 hours. I better make good use of my time. After all, my biggest problem right now is still being broke. No sooner had he finished speaking than a gruesome flying lizard tore through the air to lunge at him. The system flashed red. Level 13 poison-winged lizard. Jiang Yan smirked coldly, swinging his sword to meet it head-on. Been waiting for you lot for a long time. Sword flashes flickered, and experience notifications popped up continuously on the screen. Plus 15%, plus 21%, plus 27%. Looking at the progress bar, he nodded in satisfaction. Not bad, not bad. Just 3 monsters and my progress went up by 2.7%. Striding valiantly into the poisonous miasma, he thought, as expected of monsters out in the wilderness, come at me in even greater number. To optimize time, the teenager's eyes burned with murderous intent. Next, I gotta speed up the leveling rate, trigger modification. A surge of magical light flared up as the rule-bending treasured sword officially returned. The plain steel sword was modified into the plain rainbow sword. Jiang Yan vaulted forward like a phantom. Now begins Jiang Yan's hour of the hunt. Charging straight into the monster pack, barring their fangs and claws, he roared arrogantly. You petty magic beasts, wash your necks and wait. The iron-cutting sword blade swept past, and monsters dropped dead wherever it reached. Having slaughtered a large number of poison-winged lizards and gained massive experience, Jiang Yan leveled up to 16. Charging straight into a thorn-filled bush, he slaughtered a large number of flesh-eating aggressive plants to reap massive experience, leveling up to 17. Lightning-fast sword strikes flashed repeatedly among the sluggish bog toads, slaughtering a large number of miasma bog toads to gain massive experience, pushing Jiang Yan to level 18. Clearing the battlefield, Jiang Yan slumped down onto a rock and tilted his head back to chug a bottle of filtered water. Level 18, progress 8.9%. Yet looking at the piles of monster carcasses, he frowned and grumbled. I hacked and slashed all the way in here, and how on earth did not a single magic crystal drop? Clicking his tongue in annoyance, he muttered, my luck today is truly lousy. Suddenly, an astonished voice rang out from behind. Did you kill all of these? Jiang Yan slowly turned his head, his sharp eyes instantly recognizing the identity of the newcomer. Lu Yuan, an S-rank awakened from Nanrong No. 7 High School. Memories of prominent figures surfaced clearly. Wind assassin Lu Yuan, eldest young master of the prestigious Lu family in Nanrong City. Beside the young master, a bootlicking lackey pointed and chattered. Big brother Yuan is asking you, are you deaf? Jiang Yan mentally rolled his eyes in contempt. Oh, turns out there's also a nameless nobody tag-along. He leisurely stood up, planting his sword in the ground to reply with an indifferent attitude. If I didn't kill them, did you? The lackey instantly bristled like a fighting rooster. Commoner, how dare you use that tone to talk to Big Brother Yuan? Do you know who Big Brother Yuan is? Lu Yuan raised a hand to stop his subordinate, gazing at Jiang Yan with a haughty look. I know you, Jiang Yan. He switched to a recruiting tone. Your martial arts aren't bad, interested in forming a party. Naturally, Jiang Yan hoisted his sword straight onto his shoulder and turned around to walk away decisively. Not interested, farewell. In his mind, he understood the guy's dirty scheming all too well. You want to freeload off my experience without splitting the money, keep dreaming. Rejected bluntly, the lackey bristled with irritation. Big brother Yuan, why won't you let me teach him a lesson? He gritted his teeth in vexation. That punk is way too arrogant. Lu Yuan's expression darkened, flashing with a sinister calculation. An F-rank awakened daring to come all the way out here single-handedly. Perhaps he really is a talent. He grated out. Just wait, next time we cross paths, I'll let you see what a real move feels like. The greenhorn lackey cracked his knuckles with pops and grinned evilly. Fine, by then I'll show you how I beat this F-rank piece of trash until his teeth scatter. In another corner deep within the valley, Jiang Yan continued his solitary journey. Only one detox pill left. Gotta find a few more miasma bog toads to kill, hit level 19, and then pull back. The poisonous miasma grew thicker and thicker. An hour passed and Jiang Yan clicked his tongue in regret. What a pity, no sign of any rare demonic beasts. He looked up at the murky green expanse overhead, recalling legends from his past life. They say there's an extremely powerful dragon-type magic beast in Poison Dragon Valley, but until now I haven't seen the slightest trace of it. Suddenly, amidst lowered guard, a massive black streak surged forward from the miasma, aiming straight for his head. Combat reflexes forged and soaked into his blood. Jiang Yan instantly leaned backward while dodging and slashing his sword upward. What the hell? Playing dirty with sneak attacks. The collision with the slippery, bizarre tentacle produced a shockwave that knocked his blade aside. sliding his body backward across the ground for several meters. Jiang Yan opened his eyes wide in astonishment, staring dumbfounded at his gleaming blade. The plain rainbow sword couldn't even cut through it. His gaze turned dead serious. That defense is truly too powerful. The very next second, a gigantic frog shadow vaulted forward, shattering the layers of miasma and enveloping the teenager with overwhelming pressure. The system interface flashed bright red. Level 20 Miasma Bog Toad King, Boss-tier monster. Turns out this was the final boss of this area. Obstacles turned into opportunities. Jiang Yan broke into a radiant, greedy smile. Finally let me run into a boss monster. Today's magic crystals, I'm claiming straight from your hide. Before the prey could react, the toad boss immediately unleashed its skill, Giant Tongue Entanglement, sending a gigantic, spiked tongue shooting out like a purple lightning bolt. Jiang Yan vaulted backward to dodge, clumsily slipping past the earth-shattering lashes. Fast indeed, but he wore a sly, crafty smirk, having already hatched a familiar scumbag plan. I've already figured out how to counter this skill of yours. Activating the modification skill, the cunning young man chanted the mantra smoothly out of habit. Giant Tongue Entanglement modified into Giant Tongue Messy Tangle. Giant Tongue tangles up randomly. Instantly, the aggressive giant tongue lost control, automatically tying itself into knots and wrapping tightly around the Toad King's own body into a squirming lump. Jiang Yan vaulted into the air and roared triumphantly. Right now, a beast biting the dust, I'll gladly take your life. Wielding the plain rainbow sword, he slashed straight down onto the monster's scaly hide. A crisp clang echoed, sending sparks flying. The blade bounced right off. Jiang Yan was shoved back by the recoil, his eyes widening in disbelief. It still didn't break its defense. The system flashed a dazzling green text. Miasma Bog Toad King activates its skill Mutated Toad Skin, greatly boosting its self-defense. This toad really has thick skin. Before his luck could improve, the system dropped another bolt from the blue notification. Target modification level is higher than self level. Modification effect has expired. The word messy instantly snaps back to entangled. Jiang Yan swore under his breath, cold sweat pouring down. It had to expire right at this exact moment. Looking at the giant tongue slowly unwrapping itself, he learned a bitter lesson. The drawback of using modification on enemies is right here. When challenging above your level, the modification's duration is extremely short, and if you're unlucky, there's even a chance the modification can outright fail. Breaking free from its bindings, the Miasma Toad King flew into a wild rage, lunging forward with its foul, gaping mouth wide open in an attempt to swallow the youth whole. Its long tongue lashed out frantically, yet he stood his ground with absolute composure. With no way out left, Jiang Yan decided to go all in, figuring it was time to place a massive gamble. He instantly whipped out the subduing blade he had bought earlier, activating the modification skill on it. Brilliant magical halos erupted with unprecedented intensity as a wave of dark, menacing power surged violently from within the blade. A reckless do-or-die glint flashed in the young man's eyes. Subduing blade, subduing demon blade, modify it into demon king blade. A crimson pillar of light shot straight up into the sky, and the blade in his hand now burned with the hellish flames of the demon king, exuding a destructive aura ready to cleave the heavens in two. An echoing voice straight from the nether realms boomed through the weapon. Who dares summon this king? The system panel popped up with hair-raising stats. Demon King Sword Quality, Attributes, containing a fraction of the consciousness belonging to the 7th Demon King, Blood Spirit Asura, extremely risky, uncontrollable, absolutely do not attempt to wield it with force. Jiang Yan broke into a cold sweat, panting heavily as he gripped the blood-red blade. Looks like the thing I just modified turned out to be a massive headache. I'd better finish off this Miasma Toad King in a hurry. Opting for a swift and decisive resolution, he swung the blade and charged straight ahead. Take this attack. A towering crimson blade beam, resembling roaring magma, came crashing down, cleaving the ground in two with matchless might. The next second, the giant toad boss was squashed flat into the dirt, while Jiang Yan leaned on his blade, swaying unsteadily on wobbly knees. He muttered under his breath, evaluating the destructive toll of the heavy-grade weapon. Such a terrifying weapon. A single strike drained every ounce of my stamina. However, the real danger was only just beginning to rear its head. This Demon King blade is bad news. It's starting to backfire and devour my body. Blood-red veins crawled up his arm like tree roots while he panted heavily, desperately trying to turn the tables by activating the modifications. But his body had reached its absolute limit. Jiang Yan collapsed flat onto the ground, cursing, "Damn it, my stamina is completely burned out." A look of helpless pallor washed over the youth's face. I can't even trigger the modification skill anymore. The malicious demonic consciousness residing inside the weapon began to gloat viciously. So you're just a puny human. You dared to borrow this king's power. then pay the price. The blood-red eye on the sword hilt bulged with evil intent. Even if this king cannot descend in person, a mere tenth of my power is more than enough to wipe out your civilization and enslave your entire race. Facing that cosmic-level threat, Jiang Yan merely sneered, regaining his usual crafty demeanor. I already figured something like this would happen. Unfazed, he pulled out his backup sword and thrust it straight forward. This isn't the first time I've accidentally cooked up a Demon King blade, you know. The Demon King shrieked in sudden panic. Wretched scum, how dare you? With a sharp thud, the blade pierced straight through the parasitic demonic eye on the hilt, and a towering wave of crimson vapor enveloped the entire space. The Demon King's voice shattered amid overwhelming fury. You bastard. I will definitely make you pay for this grudge today. I'll tear you into a million pieces and seal your soul in the blood sea for all eternity. Jiang Yan slumped forward, clutching his arm and letting out a sigh of relief. Once the demonic consciousness rooted inside the weapon was pierced through, the corrosive backlash immediately ground to a halt. He leisurely caught his breath. Once my stamina recovers, I'll just change its name back to normal and call it a day. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, the youth began reflecting on hard-earned lessons. In my past life, my modification skill caused a similar incident once. The image of a towering fiend eclipsing the sky flashed through his mind, though that time the entity that descended was the ninth Demon King, Lightning Nirvana. That disaster was infinitely worse than this one, requiring an 80-plus tier nation-protecting general to personally intervene. Pulling out the battered blade, he drew a veteran conclusion. Thanks to that past accident, I learned how to deal with these anomalies. The only way to suppress them is to launch a direct assault on the consciousness anchored within the weapon itself. Jiang Yan's gaze turned profound as he pondered the nature of the world. Are those terrifying entities just creatures originating from the demonic rifts? Or do these demon kings hail from an even more horrifying world beyond the rifts? Shaking off grandiose theoretical daydreams, he stood up and twirled his freshly rebranded blade. Break time's over, time to go harvest some loot. Trigger skill modify. Demon King blade changed to Demon Fall blade. Carrying the soul of a hardcore merchant, Jiang Yan walked toward the colossal carcass. You're a miasma toad king boss anyway, don't you dare disappoint me. As if answering his expectations, a crystal pulsating with magical energy popped out from the remains. The youth's eyes lit up with unadulterated greed. A magic core from a level 20 boss. Market value has got to be at least 100,000 credits. Total jackpot this time. Leaving nothing behind, he flashed his storage ring to vacuum up the debris and the Toad King's entire carcass. Combined with the monster corpses I cleared out earlier, these are all top-tier materials. Selling them is guaranteed to rake in a fortune. A sly, crafty merchant grin appeared on his face. Selling this stash in the official market won't fetch top dollar. Once I head back to Nanrong, I'll sneak it all into the black market to squeeze out every drop of profit. The system panel blinked with notifications confirming the elimination of the Miasma Toad King and an unidentified entity, rewarding a massive chunk of EXP. Jiang Yan scratched his head blankly. Oh right, I guess I leveled up right after offing that Toad King. Sure enough, a brilliant leveling up aura enveloped him, shooting him straight from level 18 to level 20, jumping 2 full levels in one go. The unidentified entity must have been that creepy red demon eye from earlier. Didn't expect it to come with such a sweet EXP bonus. A devious leveling exploit crossed the crafty youth's mind. If I just repeatedly summon and kill that eyeball, could I abuse a system bug to grind straight to level 100 right here on the spot? But the image of that colossal, evil red eye blotting out the sky instantly crushed the illusion. One tiny slip of the hand, and I'll probably drag the entire city of Nanrong down to vaporize right along with me, and I'd be forced to start all over from scratch. He wiped away a cold sweat and drew a rational conclusion. Probably best not to play Russian roulette with human lives. Shoving the game-breaking bug thoughts to the back of his mind, Jiang Yan excitedly opened the system. Every 10 levels granted a brand new innate skill. Let's see what we got this time. Reaching level 20 unlocked the disassembly effect, allowing him to dismantle various items below level 10 to salvage diverse materials. There's a 10% chance to trigger a critical bonus reward, doubling the salvaged materials. Plus, he acquired a new farmer innate skill, Pest Immunity LV1, an effect that renders crops completely immune to pests once used. The corners of his mouth curled upward into a capitalist smirk. These new skills are turning out pretty fun. Dismantling is a grindholic's best friend for making bank. He triumphantly analyzed the biggest prize. As for that pest immunity thing, just tweak a single character with the modification skill, and it'll instantly turn into a damage immunity divine skill. Even so, he kept his wits about him as he dashed through the toxic fog, even though a skill like damage immunity is ridiculously broken and bound to come with a mountain of restrictions. In a pinch, it's the ultimate life-saving trump card. Time to head back. While gliding smoothly through the air, the hazard warning alarm in his head suddenly blared loudly. A dark, assassin-like silhouette tore through the wind, plunging straight down from a tree branch above. Jiang Yan glanced up sideways, his expression radiating undisguised boredom. It's that tailing shadow from Lu Yuan earlier. What on earth is his deal? Liu Dao flourished his twin daggers, laughing with arrogant triumph. F-rank trash, I finally caught you. The system panel flashed brief info. Level 17, B-rank combat class assassin. Convinced victory was in the bag, the assassin darted forward at a speed so extreme it left a sharp trailing afterimage across the ground. He roared aggressively, instantly triggering his innate skill to boost agility by 30%. A piece of trash like you needs to be taught a lesson by yours truly, Uncle Dao. Two venom-coated daggers thrust straight toward the youth standing completely motionless. Gotcha. The assassin was floating on Cloud 9, wondering how an F-rank class even had the nerve to fight a frontline combat class, when he suddenly hit a wall because Jiang Yan casually sidestepped out of the way with effortless ease, dropping a flat, bored remark. While the crimson heaven sword flashed upward, like a bolt of lightning tearing through the fog, Liu Dao crashed flat onto the ground, fresh blood gushing out from a deep, diagonal slash across his chest as he wailed in agonizing pain, completely eating his words. Clutching his chest while cold sweat poured down like rain, his eyes filled with absolute shock. What the hell is this? Why is he even faster than me? Besides, didn't he just pull that sword out of a storage ring earlier? Watching Jiang Yan coldly stalk closer, the assassin shivered as he wondered to himself, how could a piece of trash like him possibly afford something as expensive as a storage ring? Jiang Yan slung his sword over his shoulder, looking down at him as if he were useless garbage as he leisurely lectured. You actually thought awakening a combat class automatically made you invincible. Personal grinding, stat enhancement, combat IQ, and level gaps, those are what determine real power. He turned his back nonchalantly, running a silent assessment. His skills are honestly way too far behind mine. Maybe his boss stepping up in person would pose a slight challenge. Lost in thought, Jiang Yan suddenly frowned, sensing a razor-sharp murderous aura lunging from a blind spot. As a throwing blade gleaming with a toxic purple hue cut through the air, flying straight toward his face. Lightning fast, he pinched the deadly projectile between two fingers, his lips curling upward as he muttered, "Speak of the devil." Plunging from the air like a phantom, Lu Yuan's figure crashed down fiercely, unleashing a heavy kick directly onto the sword Jiang Yan had just raised to block. Pressing his cold expression right against the glowing blade, Lu Yuan gritted his teeth and snarled, "Nice sword. Doesn't lose to yours." Jiang Yan offered a similarly dangerous smile, returning the compliment with heavy sarcasm. Your weapon isn't half bad either. The collision triggered a shockwave, sending both of them tumbling backward in midair to carve out a safe distance. Lu Yuan assumed a combat stance, his eyes blazing with the competitive fire of a powerhouse. Let me see firsthand what kind of chops the top-ranked rookie on the leaderboard actually has. Jiang Yan smirked, resting his blade on his shoulder with an attitude overflowing with taunts. So you're salty about my number one spot, huh? He swaggered forward with a street-smart challenge. Just fighting is boring. Let's make a bet. Whoever loses hands over their weapon. You're on. Before the words fully faded, Lu Yuan transformed into a blazing purple whirlwind accompanied by system alerts. S-rank Swiftwind assassin triggers innate skill, Swiftwind stride, borrowing the power of gales to boost agility by 80%. Spotting a free meal walking right into his trap, the crafty youth grinned triumphantly and hoisted his sword to meet him. Well then, I won't be polite about taking your blade off your hands. My savings account is about to get another fat deposit. Lu Yuan charged in at breakneck speed, roaring arrogantly. My class is destined to be faster than everyone else. Speed is everything. Their weapons clashed repeatedly, creating dazzling shockwaves. Jiang Yan evaluated him mentally. Absurdly fast, figures in S-rank combat class. From the sidelines, the lackey cheered enthusiastically. So cool, take him down, big bro Yuan. Lu Yuan pressed the offensive relentlessly, a smug half-smile plastered across his face. Too slow, you're fundamentally no match for me. An F-rank class is ultimately just an F-rank class. He gathered his strength for a fatal downward slash aimed straight at his opponent's head. This blow ends it all. A splatter of bright red blood burst through the air, as Jiang Yan had caught the opponent's short blade barehanded. Gotcha. Jiang Yan's blade had slipped past the defense, resting right against Lu Yuan's flank accompanied by a grim reaper's smile. Checkmate. Lu Yuan's eyes widened in horror, cold sweat breaking out as he realized the trap. Right from the start, the guy never intended to speed match him at all. Experiencing caution for the very first time, the young master gritted his teeth. So this is the strength of Nanrong's top-ranked rookie. Things are finally starting to get interesting. Not bad for a genius. Lu Yuan pivoted in a flash to parry, decisively discarding his weapon to use the recoil and blast backward. But if you're willing to trade injury for injury, I'll cut off my own tail to survive. Jiang Yan looked up while holding the blood-stained sword, offering amused praise. Not bad, kid. You actually ditched your weapon just like that. He broke into an approving smile. Your practical combat experience is genuinely impressive. Saying that, he pointed his sword tip at the unarmed prey and threw out a provocation. Now that you're weaponless, how do you plan on keeping this fight going? To his surprise, the wealthy young master calmly tapped his storage ring, pulling out a brand new, gleaming short blade. I happen to love this kind of short blade, so I usually keep 3 spares stashed in my storage ring. Seeing such blatant flexing, the corners of Jiang Yan's mouth twitched with bitter envy, almost forgetting that this guy was the young master of Nanrong's prestigious Lu family. B-rank weapons cost a pretty penny, but to him, it was just a drop in the ocean. Yet that wealth only fueled the underdog's fighting spirit even more. All the more reason why crushing a pampered scion like this will feel immensely satisfying. Across from him, Lu Yuan gathered a massive swirl of deep purple wind attribute mana around himself. You're the first person my age to force this skill out of me. I originally thought that title would go to the Sword Saint. The system panel flashed brightly. Swiftwind Heavy Slash LV1. Effect. Unleashes a wind attribute sword wave dealing 150% attack damage. Once this skill reaches LV3, the skill slot will undergo a qualitative upgrade. He roared, swinging his blade to unleash a destructive half-moon wave. Swiftwind Severing Slash. Jiang Yan backflipped to dodge the razor-sharp sword, wave that split a boulder clean in half. He analyzed internally. This is the power of a combat class. Every single innate skill provides a massive power multiplier. While dodging, he wiped away sweat and critiqued. Not to mention this kid is an S-rank combat class. He's absurdly strong. However, under a master's gaze, the opponent's blind spots were instantly exposed. His sword wave launch speed clearly isn't as fast as close-quarters combat. Firing off these wide-area wind waves is definitely draining his stamina like crazy. Utilizing the terrain, Jiang Yan ducked into the shadows of the hazy forest, concealing his presence and waiting for a one-hit kill window. That's my path to victory. After all, I can't afford to show off my real innate skill just yet. Losing his target, Lu Yuan surveyed the area from above, keeping his short blades ready just in case. He muttered with a calculated, cold smile. He hid himself, a smart choice. Another burst of stormy mana swirled around the assassin, but he unleashed countless sword waves, tearing the area below to shreds. What are you going to do when you have nowhere left to hide? Trees crashed down, dust filled the air, and deep gouges tore across a massive expanse of land. When the smoke cleared, Lu Yuan landed in the empty clearing, scanning his surroundings with sharp vigilance. He frowned as a drop of sweat rolled down his cheek in unease. That guy, he vanished. Suddenly, a long shadow cast downward onto the ground behind him. Lu Yuan's reflexes kicked in instantly as he whipped around to unleash a fatal strike. The razor-sharp blade sliced through an afterimage. Shadow cast, I see you now. To his surprise, the powerful slash landed squarely against a dry tree trunk. The exact second Lu Yuan exposed a fatal opening. Jiang Yan glided in from above like a phantom, holding a chilling blade right against the opponent's throat with a cunning smile. Bamboo swaggle, I win. At the same time, a bitter realization flashed through Lu Yuan's mind. An F-rank class managed to push me this far. Lu Yuan broke out in cold sweat, confronting a harsh reality. Utilizing the terrain here, even the foliage. If he were an S-rank class, there's no telling how freakishly strong he'd be. He gripped his sword hilt and surged forward, carrying the final pride of a superior being. Too bad, no matter how strong you are, you're still just an F-rank class, while I am an S-rank combat class. Instantly, a glowing purple wind ring shield expanded to block the fatal slash. The system panel clearly displayed, wind ring shield. Lu Yuan roared, gritting his teeth to hold his ground. How could I possibly get beaten by you this easily? Jiang Yan startled slightly, calculating mentally. This kid actually broke past the level 20 milestone and unlocked another life-saving innate skill. His confident smile quickly returned as he leaned his weight down onto his sword. Too bad my Azure Steel sword isn't playing around either. Sparks showered between the two forces as Jiang Yan forced the young master back. Even with your turtle shell, you're not blocking an attack this heavy. With a sharp crack, the wind ring shield shattered, blasting Lu Yuan backward to slam hard against a withered tree trunk behind him. Giving his prey no room to breathe, Jiang Yan sauntered over with a heavy sword slung over his shoulder, completely dominating the situation. He narrowed his eyes to weigh the pros and cons. Should I push this to the bitter end? But clearly, this matter hadn't escalated to a life-or-death grudge. Memories of his past life surfaced, recalling the image of a brave, blood-soaked general. Besides, Lu Yuan wasn't a bad person at heart. In his past life, he was the one who led the Lu family to stand tall against the invading wave of demonic beasts. Across from him, the young master of the Lu family clutched his chest, coughing violently as he hacked up fresh blood. His eyes burned with the bloodshot glare of someone refusing to accept defeat. I haven't lost yet. Once he gets a bit closer, I'll hit him point blank with a wind blade. Even if my stamina is drained, I have to leave him heavily wounded. Thought process aside, the bitterness of being a pampered prodigy still surged up. As an S-rank class awakening, how did I get pushed to such a pathetic state by trash with an F-rank class? He lowered his gaze, murmuring in a crisis of faith. Can an F-rank class really grow this strong? Either way, my S-rank potential has got to be higher than his. Before he could nurse his bruised ego, Lu Yuan jumped in startle as the shadow of the cold crimson heavy sword loomed overhead. He gritted his teeth in panic, holding his short blade horizontally to defend. He's coming. Expecting a skull-rattling slash, Lu Yuan watched in shock as Jiang Yan calmly extended an empty hand out toward him instead. The assassin blinked in confusion, a giant question mark popping up over his head. Huh. The crafty youth broke into a placid, amicable smile, extending a friendly hand. Looks like this match ends in a draw. You're seriously strong. Lu Yuan stood there dumbfounded, letting the opponent pull him to his feet while struggling to process this rapid personality flip. What are you playing at? Jiang Yan put on the utmost sincere expression of a righteous gentleman. I mean, you're a worthy rival, so let's call this match a draw. Catching the fiery sincerity in those eyes, Lu Yuan finally let go of his pride in defense. This is the gaze of acknowledgement. He wasn't looking down on me at all. I'm strong, but he's strong too. I get it. The young master smiled in quiet relief, untying the knot in his heart. There's always someone better, and there's always someone stronger. Thanks for teaching me that truth. Shaking hands to stand back up, Lu Yuan proudly declared like a sworn brother. I acknowledge you as a true powerhouse, a powerhouse worthy of being my rival. But next time at the top 100 rookie tournament, I'm definitely going to beat you fair and square. Seeing the fish take the bait, Jiang Yan smirked subtly, dropping a charming bit of psychological prodding. Then you'd better work harder to get stronger. Otherwise, you'll lose the qualifications to even be my rival. Amid this heartwarming display of camaraderie, Lu Yuan's lackey popped out from nowhere, puffing up his chest and pointing right at Jiang Yan. Hey you, stop right there. How dare you hurt my boss Yuan like this? Spotting this, Lu Yuan hurriedly reached out to block his impulsive underling, warning him with a stern face. Don't be rude. From now on, you will respect him just as much as you respect. After whipping his lackey into shape, the young master turned back to Jiang Yan with eyes burning with determination. Next time I'm going all out to beat you. Absolute. Jiang Yan casually shoved his hands into his pockets, watching the backs of the two Lu family members gradually disappear behind the barren trees of the forest. Once the prey was out of sight, the youth let out a quiet, inward chuckle. If I actually went all out and fought him for real back there. His hand opened up, flashing with the square blocks of light belonging to the modification skill. The moment he loudly shouted out his first skill name, he would have already lost. Oh right, my Storm Slash was modified too, so there are endless other hilarious possibilities. Dropping the profound act, Jiang Yan scratched his head and let out a weary, dramatic sigh. Such a shame though. Spent all morning grinding and fighting only to walk away empty-handed. He looked mournfully at the short blade handed back to him, feeling the sorrow of a pragmatic miser. Since it's a draw, he took his weapon back. Feels like I just worked a shift for free. However, fortune favors the bold, or rather, the greedy. Jiang Yan narrowed his eyes in surprise upon spotting a faint, flickering green glow in the distance. Recalling the earth-shattering blow from earlier, he nodded in self-analysis. Must have been my slash accidentally tearing through the camouflage layer and exposing something that was hiding underneath. Tossing a stone into the toxic fog to test the waters, he concluded, looks like some kind of specialized poisonous gas. Might as well check it out. Who knows, maybe I'll stumble upon another boss monster. No sooner thought than done. The system announced good news as the modification skill activated. Damage immunity was modified into poison immunity, LV1. Effect: grants poison resistance equal to 1.5 times the user's level for 20 minutes. Fully kitted out with premium poison armor, Jiang Yan strutted around with a green aura radiating from his body, immensely pleased with himself. With this skill, I won't have to waste money buying antidote potions for a while. He strolled right up to the edge of the bizarre fog, with a curious glint in his eye. What kind of freakish thing is hiding inside this toxic mist anyway? Parting the fog to step inside, A magnificent yet spine-chilling scene unfolded before him. Looks like a pool filled with pure venom. Letting his imagination run wild, the youth dreamed up a grandiose leveling scenario. Could there be a legendary venom dragon sealed at the bottom of this pool? Seeking answers without hesitation, he leaped headfirst into the pool to take a dip. Let's dive down and see. But a moment later, disappointment washed over him. Why is it just a bunch of useless little mobs down here? Right as he finished mocking, a colossal dark shadow loomed into view, completely blocking out the murky underwater vision. Accompanied by that was a wide-open maw filled with razor-sharp teeth, ready to swallow its prey whole. The system immediately scanned and outputted the information. Ice-armored crocodile, level 18. With god-tier reflexes, Jiang Yan executed a barrel roll and swam swiftly to the side to dodge the lightning-fast snap, wearing a challenging smile. Turns out there are absolute monsters hiding deep down here in the water. Did you really think swallowing me whole would be that easy? The monster missed its charge and frantically swam around for another pass. Meanwhile, Jiang Yan had already pivoted into stance, ready to swing his blade. Since you went out of your way to deliver your corpse right to my doorstep. Without a shred of hesitation, he drew his massive heavy greatsword, cleaving and tearing through the currents. Then I suppose I'll reluctantly harvest the resources right off your body. The interface flashed to signal the activation of the armor break effect. His sword flickered with a brilliant radiance, piercing straight through the tough scales and finishing off the unlucky monster instantly. Looking at the giant crocodile carcass floating listlessly and bleeding all over the water's surface, the sly young man helplessly scratched his head as he pulled out his storage ring. Good grief, this thing is way too huge. My storage ring can't fit it. But necessity is the mother of invention. His eyes suddenly lit up with a brand new idea. Well, I guess I'll just have to test out that newly acquired disassemble skill and see how it works. The system displayed the prompt, Disassemble Level 1, allows dismantling items to obtain materials, with a 10% chance to receive double rewards. Confidently, he reached out his hand and gave the order, Activate Disassemble. Instantly, a dazzling sci-fi movie-like scene unfolded before his eyes. The crocodile's corpse began shattering into thousands of glowing blue tech cubes. The completion of the process triggered a blinding explosion of light, lighting up the entire gloomy lake bed. Loot notification banners continuously popped up. E-rank bone, commonly used for crafting low-tier weapons. E-rank meat, useless but pretty tasty. D-rank hide, premium material for crafting ice-resistant gear. Waving his hand to retrieve the glowing pile of loot into his storage ring, Jiang Yan nodded in satisfaction. This piece of hide isn't half bad. Permission to check it out and bring it home granted. While swimming along laboriantly, Jiang Yan suddenly whipped his head around with extreme vigilance as he sensed a bizarre aura radiating from the deep abyss below. He stared intently at the blinding green glow in the distance, muttering to himself, "Who knows when I managed to swim so close to the source of this toxic mist?" Conveniently holding a top-tier poison resistance buff, the young man decided to take a huge gamble and dive straight down. Let's head down there and see what on earth is waiting for us. The deeper he dove, the more a massive cave glowing with an eerie green light gradually came into view. Looking at the bizarre scenery all around, he couldn't help but exclaim, "The terrain around here has been completely warped by the toxins. Could my character really be lucky enough to run into a true endgame boss?" Finally, he landed on the lake bed floor, which sparkled like crystal, yet was completely flooded with lethal gas. Hastily ducking behind a massive boulder, Jiang Yan widened his eyes in shock. This is. Right before his eyes, coiled up in the center of the cave, was a colossal creature. A flashing crimson system panel popped up. Venom Dragon level 43. Gender, female. Status, maturing state. Cold sweat broke out on the young man's forehead as he found it hard to believe his own eyes. A literal venom dragon. And it's still in its maturing phase, yet it's already laying eggs. Not to mention, it's reached a staggering level 43. Swallowing hard, he mentally evaluated the situation. No wonder it's called a legendary tier powerhouse monster. Once it matures completely, this dragon will easily breach the level 70 mark. His gaze locked onto the two glowing eggs sitting right behind the mother dragon, and his greed instantly spiked. Besides, I have the omnipotent fusion skill anyway. The power ceiling of these eggs can totally be pushed to a whole new level. Looking at the bleached white bones of unfortunate victims scattered all around the dragon's nest, he whispered to himself with hypocritical righteousness, "I just need to wait for the right opportunity to quietly swipe those dragon eggs. Consider it robbing the rich to give to the poor. I'll wait. Consider it avenging the people who lost their lives here." But life doesn't always go according to plan. The entire cave violently shook, causing the water current to rumble aggressively. Jiang Yan started in shock, hastily darting his eyes around to find the source. What's happening? Don't tell me. Right away, a giant male venom dragon with wingspans covering the entire lakebed landed, its talons clutching a plump wild boar to serve as dinner for its mate. The young man quickly ducked his head, sweating profusely, and retreated deep into a hidden corner with a speechless expression. What the hell? Why did they have to spawn a male here too? Realizing that a 1 versus 2 matchup was far too risky, he immediately turned around and swam back up. It's not safe down here at all. I can't beat them right now. Once I farm up some higher levels, I'll come back to settle accounts. Breaking out of the smoking, toxic water surface, the young man stretched and took a deep breath, his eyes blazing with ambition. My objective is crystal clear now. He smirked confidently, mapping out a flawless plan. What needs to be done is to grow stronger and completely loot that entire dragon nest clean. In his mind, he instantly painted a picture of riding a dragon and soaring arrogantly through the sky. When that time comes, let's see who in Nanrong City dares to look down on him anymore. Stepping onto the muddy bank and shaking off the toxic water, he quickly locked onto his immediate goal. All right, the first order of business is to haul these crocodile materials to the black market and cash them out. Scene cuts to a rundown, densely patched apartment complex under the blazing crimson sunset, the location of the underground black market in Nanrong City. Walking through the bustling street filled with underworld thugs, Jiang Yan recalled his past life knowledge. This is the city's underground black market. Rumor has it that this place is backed by a level 60 grandmaster who apparently commands a terrifying faction. He glanced past the rows of sharp blades and swords displayed haphazardly along the street, calmly evaluating that as long as you don't cause any major trouble, the authorities will simply turn a blind eye and won't even bother intervening. This makes transactions extremely convenient, but of course it also serves as a flawless cover for countless crime. Walking a short distance, he stopped in front of a luxurious door with a shining gold-plated sign reading Jinmu Pavilion. This is the most reputable black market shop in my memory. Walking inside, what caught his eye was Qin Yu, the owner of Jinmu Pavilion, a charming beauty with a blazing figure casually blowing smoke from an upscale tobacco pipe. In front of the counter, 2 hunters were sweating profusely as they haggled over every single coin. Boss, can you raise the price just a little bit? Come on, brother, getting this batch of goods wasn't easy at all. Exhaling a puff of smoke skillfully, Boss Chin coldly shut them down, allowing no room for bargaining. The price I offered is already the highest on this entire street. If you guys don't want to sell, please feel free to leave. After chasing away the troublesome customers, Qin Yu's sharp gaze shifted to Jiang Yan, raising an eyebrow in curious surprise. A high school student, does the little kid have items to sell too? Seeing him dressed in shabby clothes, one hunter curled his lip in utter contempt and muttered to himself, "This punk doesn't even have decent clothes. Where on earth would he get anything valuable to sell?" Finding it an eyesore, the big guy standing next to him strode over arrogantly, pointing right at his face and threatening him. "Kid, I advise you to scram right now so you're out of my sight. Don't stand here wasting our time." Being cursed right to his face, Jiang Yan didn't flinch at all. He calmly raised his hand to show off the sparkling ring and responded modestly, "I honestly don't have anything all that major to sell." Seeing the familiar glow, the 2 hunters widened their eyes in shock, their arrogant attitude instantly vanishing entirely. A spatial ring. How the hell does a punk like him own something so expensive? Amused by the comedic expressions of these fake tough guys, our young man held his hand forward, getting ready to unload his goods. "Basically, all my stuff is just about this much." No sooner had he finished speaking than a giant mountain of raw materials poured out from the ring, haphazardly occupying the entire room with dazzling nameplates ranging from ice-armored crocodile bones and venomous skeletal crocodile scales to ice-armored crocodile hide. The 2 hunters who had been strutting around arrogantly moments ago now dropped their jaws, petrified and completely frozen in absolute horror before the massive pile of resources. Even a shrewd beauty like Boss Chin couldn't hide her shock, her pretty eyes widening in disbelief. He actually has ice-armored crocodile hide. Could this kid have gone deep into the core of the Poison Valley? Not stopping at that casual preview, Jiang Yan casually reached out his hand again to summon another brilliantly glowing purple crystal. "Oh right, almost forgot, I have this too." The moment the crystal appeared, the 2 hunters lunged forward, clutching their heads and screaming as if they had seen a ghost. "It's a magic core, a genuine magic core." "Oh God." Qin Yu's eyes flashed with extreme turbulence. She stared closely at the mysterious teenager in front of her, mentally assessing, just who on earth is this kid? Disregarding the petrified expressions of everyone around him, Jiang Yan calmly flashed a business smile. "Boss, please calculate the total for me and see how much all this stuff is worth." Teasing the magic core in front of the 2 drooling, sweat-drenched hunters, he smiled and urged them on. "Please hurry up a little bit. I don't want to delay these two big shots' important business. Qin Yu calmly reviewed the transaction records before speaking in a professional tone. According to our agreement, the total value of all the materials you brought is 78,500. The magic crystal is worth 150,000. Adding it all up, the final amount is 238,500. It has all been deposited into this card. With that said, she placed a special card on the table in front of him. Jiang Yan reached out with a satisfied smile and said, Boss Qin is certainly generous. All right, I'll take it. But before he could touch the card, Qin Yu gently placed her hand over the back of his hand and continued. Additionally, this gold card marks you as a VIP of Jinmu Pavilion. If you bring magic crystals in the future, I can raise the acquisition rate by another 10% for you. Hearing this, Jiang Yan immediately stood up. A sincere look of gratitude appeared on his face as he replied respectfully, Then I gladly accept Boss Qin's favor. Not long after, Jiang Yan left the VIP room and began walking out of Jinmu Pavilion. While moving through the building, he quietly pondered the recent transaction. Qin Yu is fair and reasonable. That's why I chose to trade with her. She even gave me a VIP card and special perks. Clearly, she's recognized my potential. The more he thought about it, the more convinced he became that his decision was right. In a world where strength dictates status and opportunity, having the backing of a powerful organization can make a huge difference. His self-confidence grew stronger as he thought about the future waiting ahead. He smiled faintly and thought to himself, those with real capability are welcomed anywhere. Sure enough, overwhelming strength is the foundation of everything. If I want to earn the highest national salary and climb the leaderboards, strength is a prerequisite. Not far away, two men were secretly watching him and whispering to each other. One of them smirked sinisterly. Second brother, we've struck gold again today. His voice was filled with greed, while the two of them kept their eyes locked on Jiang Yan. Meanwhile, fully aware of the attention he was drawing, Jiang Yan leisurely walked alone down the street. He calmly evaluated the current situation and thought, now that I have money, I need some protection. Just having two weapons isn't safe enough. His instincts warned him that trouble was approaching. The sudden wealth and the attention he attracted would surely draw unwanted predators. However, even realizing that, he didn't panic at all. His expression remained calm. He silently admitted, sure enough, I've been targeted. But there wasn't a hint of fear in his heart. He had anticipated this outcome before leaving Jinmu Pavilion. From the moment he decided to sell rare materials and reveal a fraction of his strength, he knew people would come after him. After evaluating for a moment, he narrowed his eyes and thought, the heavy stench of blood on them, no doubt those sacks are full of looted goods. Judging by their demeanor and murderous aura, they're clearly no ordinary people. They've robbed and killed quite a few victims before crossing paths with me. A cold smile appeared on Jiang Yan's face as another thought flashed through his mind. Killing them counts as doing a good deed. Meanwhile, the two pursuers grew increasingly confident as they saw Jiang Yan heading alone into a secluded area. The older brother sneered, this punk is picking out a nice grave for himself. The younger brother smiled maliciously. His uncle will probably be the first to know he's dead. However, the moment Jiang Yan reached a desolate spot, he abruptly stopped. The atmosphere instantly grew tense. Without even turning his head right away, he calmly said, you guys are walking too slow. I've been waiting. Hearing those words, both brothers were startled. The older brother stepped forward, gripping his large saber tightly, and sneered at Jiang Yan. Kid, you're still a high school student, right? We're both combat class professionals. Before Jiang Yan could reply, the younger brother added confidently, quite a few adults have died at our hands. You're just next on the list. Their voices were full of arrogance, trying to intimidate him with their experience and reputation. But instead of being scared, Jiang Yan leisurely looked at them and responded in an exaggerated tone. Combat class, I'm so scared. A frail artisan like me, how could I possibly fight two guys like you? His words were full of sarcasm. He wasn't scared at all. Instead, he was openly mocking them. The older brother's face instantly darkened with anger. Punk, you don't look scared at all. The younger brother quickly realized and shouted, Big bro, he's clearly playing us. Jiang Yan didn't bother hiding it anymore. He shrugged and frankly admitted, that's right, I'm mocking you guys. His calm attitude completely enraged the two criminals. Furious, the older brother immediately rushed forward, raising his large saber to slash at Jiang Yan. At the same time, the younger brother activated his skill and shouted. Toxic energy spread across his weapon, preparing to attack. But Jiang Yan remained completely calm. He flicked his wrist and gently said, since I reincarnated, this is the first time I'm using this skill on people. Then he activated his ability, Activate Remake Skill. The moment the skill took effect, a strange and terrifying transformation occurred. Jiang Yan's remake ability instantly interfered with their skills and altered them. His passive regeneration skill was upgraded to a higher level, while the enemy's skill was forcibly transformed into something completely different. The older brother suddenly stiffened in confusion before his body began attacking itself. His muscles spasmed against his will, inflicting self-harm. His confident expression instantly turned to horror. The younger brother had it even worse. Looking at the scene unfolding, he panicked and screamed. His poisoning skill was transformed into an entirely different ability called depletion. The toxins he had prepared to harm his enemy suddenly turned back against their master. The poison spread rapidly across his body. His face turned pale, and pain surged everywhere. He couldn't stand anymore, collapsing to his knees and looking at Jiang Yan with utter disbelief. In the end, he could only choke out, "How is this possible?" Ignoring their terror, Jiang Yan slowly walked over. He muttered softly, "Finally completed." Then he drew his sword and pointed it straight at the two. His voice turned cold and sharp. "You guys have killed and robbed quite a few people, right? Well, retribution has arrived." A few minutes later, the area returned to silence. The two criminals who had hunted countless victims died under the exact consequences they had caused. After dealing with them, Jiang Yan rummaged through their belongings. While checking the items, he suddenly recognized something familiar. He pulled out a piece of paper and read it aloud. "Bounty notice. Class B criminals Liu Dalai and Xu Yang. You guys even kept your own wanted poster." He casually tossed the notice onto the ground. "But I won't use these guys to claim the reward. That would be way too conspicuous." However, as he continued rummaging, he finally found something that caught his eye. A smile flashed across his face. "Good thing they had one piece of gear I can use." At this moment, a system panel popped up before him, displaying the detailed attributes of the item. The item looked ordinary, nothing special about it. Jiang Yan observed carefully and said, "Looks pretty ordinary. Time for my hands to turn trash into treasure." Then he activated the special ability, Activate Remake Skill. The equipment immediately began to transform. The attributes on the system panel changed rapidly. As the remake skill turned it into something far more powerful, ripples of energy swept across its surface, and its quality continuously upgraded. Upon completion, Jiang Yan picked up the upgraded equipment and put it on. Feeling his augmented strength, he nodded in satisfaction. As expected, trying to upgrade things into legendary tier always causes unpredictable changes. He carefully observed the patterns appearing on the jacket. The patterns on the clothes are the ghost blood poison emblem. Not the highest tier, but pretty good. Then another thought flashed through his mind, his expression softening. "I'll bring this back as a surprise gift for my little sister." Besides, the college entrance exam is about to start. His eyes filled with determination. "This time it's my turn. Time for Jiang Yan to shock the entire world." In his past life, he could only watch others shine while he was passed over. This life will be different. He will become the center of attention. He will stand above everyone else. Not long after, Jiang Yan returned home with several items. As soon as he stepped through the door, he called out, "Yao, come help me out." Hearing her brother's voice, Xiao Yao quickly ran out. The moment she saw the pile of clothes and equipment he brought back, her eyes went wide in shock. "Brother, where on earth did you get all these things?" Xiao Yao looked at everything in front of her with an unbelievable expression. To her, this amount of equipment was way too astonishing. Seeing his sister's reaction, Jiang Yan laughed loudly. "Of course I earned them fair and square." Then he suddenly remembered something and added, "Oh right, starting this month your allowance is going up." Xiao Yao immediately panicked and waved her hands. No need. 50 yuan is enough for me." Jiang Yan shook his head firmly. "Not enough. Starting this month it goes up to 500. If it's still not enough, just tell me anytime." Hearing that number, Xiao Yao looked at him with disbelief. The massive increase left her wondering where the money came. Seeing the countless questions forming in his sister's mind, Jiang Yan gently placed his hand on her head and smiled. "Stop letting your imagination run wild. Tomorrow is the pep rally for my college entrance exam. With your big brother's standard, I just need to show up and come back. Tomorrow night when I get home, I'll take you out for a nice meal." His casual confidence instantly caught Xiao Yao's attention. Xiao Yao looked curiously at her older brother and asked about his level. Without hesitation, Jiang Yan replied, 20. That number instantly left her speechless. Reaching level 20 in such a short span of time was something very few people could pull off. Meanwhile, Jiang Yan continued pondering the future. The college entrance exam is usually held about a month after awakening. During this stage, ordinary students can only reach level 10 or at most level 15, and only those with exceptional talent can reach level 16 to 20. As for level 20 and above, only elite individuals from major influential clans have a chance. Anyway, level 20 is a milestone that requires a massive amount of resources. I only managed to hit level 20, because I happened to take down a Demon King's avatar. Without resources, even for me, it would be very difficult to attain. But after becoming the top scorer of Nanrong City, everything will change. College entrance exam, here I come, he muttered softly to himself. The scene opens inside the stadium of Nan No. 1 High School, where all the students were standing neatly in line. As the principal stood on stage to give a speech, the atmosphere was filled with tension. Because the annual college entrance exam was finally approaching, the principal looked at the students and declared that this year's exam was near at hand, and they were the pride and hope of Nan No. 1 High School. He reminded everyone that after more than 10 years of diligent study, the opportunity to completely change their destiny was standing right before their eyes. Jiang Yan stood quietly among the students listening to the speech, thinking that even though the principal was just repeating clichés everyone had heard countless times, to an awakened person it was the absolute truth. Because for them, the college entrance exam was truly the biggest opportunity to permanently change their future. Jiang Yan continued thinking, every awakened person has one of 4 different paths, completely dependent on their results in the college entrance exam. The first path belongs to elite students who get into top universities. They have an extremely high chance of becoming future pioneers, exploring dangerous demon lair dungeons. They will receive comprehensive support from the nation, including abundant cultivation resources and countless opportunities, with a nearly limitless future. The second path is for students who test well but don't make it into top universities. They can choose to join the military, becoming garrison soldiers in territories occupied by demon floors. Even so, they still receive government support along with precious cultivation resources. If they strive to train and achieve meritorious service, they can rise through the ranks and become respected general. The third path is for awakened individuals with average scores, enough to enter ordinary universities. Most of these people later become members of the Guardian Knights. They only receive local support rather than national-level backing, and cultivation resources are much scarcer. But for someone with average talent, this is already a very good future. The final path belongs to those whose strength is insufficient and fail the exam completely. They will return to normal life in the city, unable to ever break through again for the rest of their lives. In reality, this outcome is the destiny for the vast majority, since only 20% of people can step into the first 3 paths, while the remaining 80% stay obscure forever. This is the cruel reality of the world after the demon lair invasion. A society built upon a strict class system and unimaginable ruthlessness, where strength decides everything, and anyone not strong enough can be eliminated in the blink of an eye. When Jiang Yan finished pondering that cruel reality, the principal also concluded his speech. He looked across the students and made the final announcement. The speech is concluded, and homeroom teachers will begin screening students immediately. Those who have reached level 15 or higher will be exempt from the school's preliminary exam. It's time to begin the screening process. The moment those words echoed across the stadium, the atmosphere instantly grew tense. All students below level 15 were anxious and uneasy. They knew their destiny was about to be decided. Many wore worried expressions, while others quietly prayed they could pass. Amidst the spreading anxiety, Jiang Yan stood there with a calm smile. He thought to himself, although I was taken away in my past life and never experienced this event directly, I understand the rules. As long as level 15 is surpassed, students are automatically considered elite talents. Looking at the current situation, he calmly concluded that he probably didn't need to participate in the school's preliminary exam. Right at that moment, the class coach stepped forward and began announcing the results. He announced that their class had a total of 5 students who had surpassed level 15. However, he immediately added that only 4 people were exempt from the preliminary exam. Then he looked straight at Jiang Yan and called his name. He explained that even though Jiang Yan had reached a level above 15, he still had to participate in the preliminary exam. The reason was simple. Jiang Yan did not belong to a combat class, and furthermore his profession was only F rank, making him an exception. The moment those words rang out, the students around Jiang Yan instantly began whispering, making all sorts of mocking comments. Classmates looked at him with derisive gazes. His longtime enemy couldn't conceal his smug satisfaction, loudly mocking that this was exactly what an F rank deserved, and even openly calling Jiang Yan a useless F rank piece of trash. Even so, Jiang Yan didn't show the slightest sign of anger. Before things could get worse, the coach walked up to him and spoke in a comforting tone. You shouldn't get discouraged, because I know very well how exceptional you are. It's a pity this is the school's decision. As a teacher, I don't have the authority to change it. Hearing those sincere words, Jiang Yan simply smiled at the teacher without a shred of disappointment, bowing respectfully as he replied, I understand. Since the school has already decided, I will participate in the preliminary trials without any resentment. His calm attitude only made his enemy even more baffled. as he couldn't, for the life of him, understand how someone in that position could remain so composed. A loud buzzer echoed throughout the arena, followed immediately by a broadcast announcement. The preliminary trials officially begin. The announcement explained that the preliminary trials served as an internal screening round for each high school prior to the actual university entrance exams, and only the ultimate victors would earn the right to participate in the official examination. With an elimination rate of up to 90%, it stood as one of the most brutal selection systems, where only the strongest and most outstanding students could survive while the rest were weeded out. As the matches continued, the principal and vice principal stood together observing from the monitoring area, with the vice principal shaking his head as he remarked that a full month had passed since the awakening ceremony, yet plenty of students still hadn't reached level 15. From his perspective, their futures looked quite bleak, since the majority only held D-rank or E-rank classes, and many had awakened craft classes unsuited for combat. Hearing this, the principal calmly retorted that this year was different, reminding the vice principal about Jiang Yan, the student who had consistently topped both academics and combat for 3 straight years, and asking if he still remembered that standout young man. The vice principal immediately replied that of course he remembered, admitting that he once held high hopes for Jiang Yan, but sighed in disappointment that no one could have anticipated such an outstanding student ending up with an F-rank class. The vice principal went on to explain that the principal surely understood what an F-rank represented. Originally, the lowest tier for awakened classes was E, but as the number of awakened individuals grew, a few extremely inferior crafting classes emerged. They were so weak that they were initially classified as trash, though authorities later found the word trash too harsh and officially changed it to F-rank. Even though Jiang Yan remained the top student in both academics and combat, the sheer quality gap of his class meant he had zero chance of defeating anyone else. Hearing this, the principal responded with absolute, unwavering confidence. People shouldn't be judged solely by their class tier. Patriarch Hu Yanwu awakened an F-rank class back in the day, yet he still rose to become a respected tier 70 existence. No one has the right to look down on others, especially a student as hardworking and steadfast as Jiang Yan. Finally, the long-awaited announcement boomed across the venue as the referee called the contestants of Group 17 onto the stage, Jiang Yan's bracket. When his name was called, he calmly stepped into the arena, while the other contestants clutched their weapons ready, standing opposite their opponents in preparation for a fierce battle. Jiang Yan did something completely unexpected. Instead of looking at his enemies, he leisurely turned his back to them and thought to himself, "It's finally my turn." Remembering his promise to treat his sister to a good meal, he smiled, having no intention of wasting precious time. The students watching from the outside immediately recognized him, with one pointing at Jiang Yan and shouting that he was currently leading the leaderboard and considered a true genius, while another added that Jiang Yan had already hit level 20. At that moment, someone reminded the crowd that high level or not, he only awakened an F-rank class, prompting them to quickly hatch a plan, temporarily team up to wipe out Jiang Yan first, and only fight each other for victory afterward. Listening to their discussion, Jiang Yan simply looked at them with a confident and calm gaze, stating coolly, "You guys can all rush me together." His words instantly infuriated them, as they roared that they were all combat classes, refusing to believe they couldn't take down a single person. "Let's show that F-rank guy that the gap between classes can't just be bridged by hard work." Prompted by those words, the entire group swarmed forward in a furious charge. Up on the VIP balcony, the principal and vice principal watched intently, whispering that it was starting, telling Old Lai to watch closely. The moment the match officially commenced, Jiang Yan activated his magical storage ring and instantly summoned his weapon, observing his opponents casually. "Your weapons are way too subpar. The gear I looted from the venomous Dragon Valley is nowhere near that late." Before anyone could process what was happening, both the principal and vice principal froze in sheer astonishment, their minds reeling from 2 shocking realizations. Jiang Yan actually possessed a storage ring, and the weapon he had just summoned was unequivocally A-rank. Giving no one a chance to recover, Jiang Yan suddenly lunged forward with terrifying speed, his footwork so blindingly fast that he sliced right through the entire group of opponents in a heart. As the spectators gasped in shock, countless voices buzzed in disbelief over what kind of movement technique possessed such a terrifying velocity. Jiang Yan calmly walked past all his opponents, stopping right behind them to leisurely declare, "You've already lost." One student immediately protested, arguing that while Jiang Yan's speed was impressive, none of them had taken any hits, making defeat mathematically impossible. Jiang Yan only smiled calmly in response. "Is that so?" The moment those words fell, everyone's neckties were sliced clean in half, and every single one of their weapons had been sheared through without a soul realizing it. In the fleeting second Jiang Yan had darted past, he had already completed every single strike. Seeing their ruined weapons, a student trembled in terrified realization. If Jiang Yan had genuinely wanted them dead, they would all have been corpses long ago. Recognizing the overwhelming, insurmountable gap in power, they admitted defeat with absolute surrender. And so, all of them raised their hands to forfeit. Not long after, the official announcement echoed across the arena. Student Jiang Yan of Class 1 has won the match for Group 17. As Jiang Yan calmly walked out of the arena, he mused to himself. Once the preliminary trials were over, the official university entrance exams would kick off in 3 days, meaning he could finally head home tonight and treat his sister to that promised good meal. He also felt a sense of satisfaction, knowing this match had provided a perfectly logical cover story to explain his possession of the azure steel sword. Now that everyone had seen him openly wield it, no one would ever come sniffing around looking for trouble over his weapon again. Watching Jiang Yan leave, the vice principal could only shake his head in utter amazement, admitting that this kid was truly built different. The principal smiled warmly. Someone capable of extracting loot from the venomous Dragon Valley definitely possesses strength far beyond what he displayed in today's match. He added with confident pride that even Patriarch Hu Yanwu back in his youth hadn't been as astonishing as young Jiang Yan, leaving the vice principal to silently agree with every word. Afterward, the principal looked back out toward the arena and remarked, Nan No. 1 High School has never produced a city top scorer. But perhaps this year, history will change, and that unbelievable achievement will belong to an F-rank student named Jiang Yan. Soon after, another announcement reverberated across the hall as the preliminary results were broadcast. Group 68, Class 24 victory. The preliminary trials have concluded. A total of 68 contestants advanced to the next round. Before long, all the students who cleared the qualifiers were escorted to the winner's lounge, where the successful candidates quietly took their seats. Jiang Yan sat among them as well, though instead of celebrating, he maintained absolute composure while mentally calculating the scale of the upcoming competition. Nan No. 1 High School housed over 1,000 students, and with 68 brackets for his grade alone, that meant 680 students had entered the preliminary. Even so, with over 400 other students still eligible to take the standard university entrance exams, combining them with the 68 qualifiers meant Nan No. 1 High School alone would send roughly 500 graduating students into this year's exam. Nanyang City featured a total of 19 high schools in all. That meant during this university entrance examination, his pool of rivals would scale up to nearly 10,000 participants. Snagging the top scorer title out of nearly 10,000 talented students was no casual dream, requiring absolute strength, unyielding willpower, and flawless execution, since a single tiny mistake could ruin everything. While Jiang Yan remained lost in thought, someone quietly walked over and settled into the seat beside him. Turning his head, he was startled to recognize the principal, prompting an inward thought. It's the principal. Why is he here? Before Jiang Yan could voice his question, the principal offered a warm smile. Relax. For the past 3 years, you've consistently taken top spot in both academics and combat, and I've personally handed you awards quite a few times. No need to look so surprised, right? Hearing that, Jiang Yan looked at the principal and offered a respectful grin. You're not just our principal, sir, but also one of the 12 guardian gods of Nanyang City. It's only natural for an ordinary student like me to be slightly startled when you suddenly sit next to me, isn't it? The principal couldn't help laughing, reaching out to give Jiang Yan a friendly pat on the shoulder. You really know how to talk. I like this kind of flattery. But you know what would make me even happier? Bringing the top scorer title back home to Nan No. 1 High School. His voice was gentle, but the hope in his eyes was entirely sincere. Those words genuinely caught Jiang Yan off guard. He looked at the principal with incredulous eyes and asked, Our grade alone has 3 students who awakened S-rank classes and 6 with A-rank. You still place this much faith in an F-rank student like me? That kind of blind trust sounds hardly logical. Yet the principal didn't hesitate for a single second, smiling calmly as he replied, An F-rank, so what? As one of the 12 guardian gods of Nanyang City myself, didn't I only awaken a C-rank class? Don't forget, it's humans who grow strong, not the class itself. Humanity's greatest strength has never been innate talent or class tiers, but rather the heart daring to draw a sword against any powerhouse, no matter how impossible the battle looks. Hearing those powerful words, Jiang Yan felt a deep wave of shock ripple through him, filled with immense admiration for the man seated beside him. This principal was truly a cut above other powerhouses. In his past life, he hadn't had many chances to interact with him, but right now, the man genuinely never judged him by his altered talent. A natural sense of respect welled up in Jiang Yan's chest as he looked at the principal and vowed with firm determination, "Thank you for your guidance, sir. I'll give it my all and promise to bring the top scorer title back to Nan Number 1 High School." The principal smiled with satisfaction, then raised his fist toward Jiang Yan. "Good, that's the spirit. This is a promise between us. Come on, fist bump, a pact among men." Without hesitation, Jiang Yan raised his own fist and smashed it firmly against the principal's, sealing their pact with unshakable resolve. The moment their fist bump concluded, their passionate exchange immediately caught the attention of nearby students. From afar, some looked utterly confused while others couldn't help cracking jokes. What are those two doing getting all hyped up over nothing? Are they made of white phosphorus or something, spontaneously combusting just from touching the air? The old principal's still acting like a naive kid. No wonder Nan Number 1 High School has never churned out a city top score. Leaving the school grounds behind, Jiang Yan thought to himself, "I promised my sister I'd treat her to a nice meal. The official university entrance exams start tomorrow, so tonight is the perfect time for the two of us to unwind." Even though their parents had passed away, the siblings had always lived frugally, rarely indulging in anything special. Recalling everything they had been through together only reinforced his determination to keep his promise and give his sister at least one joyful evening before his most crucial milestone. Shortly after, the siblings arrived in front of a lavishly upscale restaurant whose extravagance far exceeded any place they had ever set foot in. The elegant building, sparkling lights, and beautifully decorated entrance left Xiaoyao in a daze, looking around anxiously as she asked, "Big brother, we've never eaten at a place like this before. Are we really going to eat here? Or maybe we should just go back?" Jiang Yan offered a confident smile. "This is the exact spot." Hearing that answer made Xiaoyao even more nervous as she gazed at the restaurant once more. "I checked online. This place is super expensive and famous, and I heard you need reservations way in advance just to get a table." Jiang Yan pulled out his phone, showed her the booking confirmation, and grinned. "Your big brother did his homework days ago. The table was booked a week ahead. Let's head inside." Seeing how thoroughly he had prepared warmed Xiaoyao's heart. She thought to herself, "Big brother put so much thought into this, I shouldn't ruin the mood." Stepping into the restaurant, a polite waitress greeted them with a professional smile. "Good evening. Would you prefer to order a la carte, or would you like to try the restaurant's recommended set meal?" Without bothering to glance at the menu, Jiang Yan replied calmly, "Bring a set meal. See, I know those are all your signature dishes." The waitress bowed respectfully. "Certainly, please give us a moment." As she walked away, she couldn't help thinking to herself, they look like regular guests, yet they're willing to splurge quite a bit. While Jiang Yan sat quietly sipping water, Xiaoyao hesitated over the menu before looking up with wide, round eyes. "The set meal C you ordered. Is that the most expensive one? It's close to 3,000 credits." Jiang Yan nodded without hesitation. "That's right. If there's anything else you want to eat, just order it. Don't hold back. Get whatever you like." Hearing that she could order as much as she wanted spun Xiaoyao's head in disbelief. 2,980. That's practically our household living expenses for 10 months. Big brother, you didn't do anything illegal to suddenly get rich, right? Right on cue, the peaceful atmosphere of the restaurant shattered as a noisy group of high schoolers barged in, shouting loudly, "What do you mean you can't eat without a reservation? I have my university entrance exams tomorrow. Clear a table for me right now." A waiter rushed over, politely trying to placate them, but the arrogant youth named Wang refused to listen, pointing aggressively at the staff and yelling, "Cut the crap and clear a table for my bros, or I'll smash this place to pieces." Seeing the waitress who had just taken their order being harassed, Xiaoyao whispered anxiously, "Big brother, that waitress looks like she's being bullied by those thugs." Jiang Yan glanced over at the commotion, his expression turning frosty before looking away with indifference. "Our senior students from number 7 high school, all this kind of trash." Wang immediately whipped around, his face flushing red with fury. "What did you just say?" One of his lackeys stepped forward as well, sneering menacingly. "Say that again if you've got the guts." "Oh, I was wondering who it was. Turns out it's Nan number 1 high school's infamous F-rank trash, Jiang Yan." "Kid, there aren't many F-rank losers in all of Nanyang. Want to test how hard the fists of my C-rank combat class are?" The entire group burst into arrogant laughter, convinced they could easily intimidate. Yet Jiang Yan remained completely unfazed, treating their threats as utter nonsense. After listening to their insults, he leisurely picked up his glass of water and deliberately poured it straight into Wang's face, fixing him with a deadpan, chilling expression as he stated, "My bad, my hand slipped." That simple sentence instantly pierced through Wang's remaining shred of patience. His face twisted in rage as he instantly triggered his combat class, his arm mutating rapidly while he bellowed, "You dare splash water on me? I'm gonna smash your face in. Watching Wang charge forward, Xiao shrieked in terror, "Big brother, watch out." The exact second Wang's transformed fist was about to strike, a powerful hand suddenly materialized right between them. That grip clamped down on Wang's arm so tightly that he couldn't twitch an inch further, followed by an angry roar echoing through the restaurant. "Wang Zhirui, what the hell do you think you're doing?" Wang froze stiff upon recognizing the newcomer, his color draining entirely. "Boss Dao, why are you here?" Jiang Yan instantly recognized him too, Liu Dao, a B-rank combat class powerhouse and one of the top 50 contenders from number 7 high school. Wang hurriedly explained, "Boss Dao, I was just teaching this F-rank trash from Nan number 1 high school a lesson. Don't worry, I'll make him know his place right now." Before Wang could finish, Liu Dao shoved him violently backward, sending him stumbling before roaring with murderous intent, "You dare raise a hand against Yanji? You got a death wish." Wang stood completely paralyzed, staring at Liu Dao in sheer disbelief as he stammered, "Boss Dao, you've got it wrong. He's just an F-rank trash from Nan number 1 high school." Right at that moment, another calm voice drifted in from behind. "He didn't get it wrong. If he had been a fraction of a second later, your arm would have been snapped clean off." Everyone collectively turned toward the entrance, their expressions shifting dramatically. The moment Wang and his lackeys recognized the new arrival, they were terrified enough to nearly stop breathing. The young master of the Lu family, Lu Yuan. Wang's heart hammered against his ribs as he thought in panic. Lu Yuan, an S-rank combat genius ranked in the top 3 of number 7 high school. Why is he here? Meanwhile, Jiang Yan simply looked at him and smiled, greeting him leisurely. "Little Yuan, what a coincidence." Lu Yuan frowned in annoyance. "Stop calling me by my actual name like that." That intimate exchange left Wang and his entire crew dead silent. They stared at Jiang Yan in utter bewilderment, wondering how someone they had just branded as trash could talk to the Lu family's young master like an old friend. Jiang Yan glanced back at Wang and his lackeys, stating unhurriedly, "Looks like students from your number 7 high school were never taught basic manner." The moment those words dropped, a chill ran straight down the spines of Wang and his cronies, completely shattering their understanding of reality. The F-rank student they had looked down on was bantering fearlessly in front of Lu Yuan, while Liu Dao openly protected. Their brains flooded with confusion and terror as they asked themselves, what on earth is going on here? Despite what just happened, Wang still couldn't wrap his head around it. He's just an F-rank trash. How can he talk to an S-rank big shot like it's the most casual thing in the world? Who the hell is this guy? The more he thought, the more flustered and frustrated he grew, though Jiang Yan couldn't care less. He looked at them with total apathy and instructed coldly, "All right, I don't have the energy to deal with you clowns. Apologize to the waitress and get out of my sight." As soon as the words left his mouth, the entire group bowed their heads before him and chorused, "Understood, Jiang Yanji." Wasting not another second, they hurried over to the waitress, bowed deeply, and offered a sincere apology. "We are deeply sorry. Please forgive us for our earlier disturbance." The waitress maintained her composure, simply smiling as she replied, "No worries. Make sure to book a table in advance next time." Mortified beyond belief, the three of them turned tail and bolted out of the restaurant at full sprint. Watching them vanish in a panic, the waitress couldn't help thinking, judging by that look, they'll probably never dare step foot in here again. After the awkward episode concluded, Lu Yuan looked at Jiang Yan with a smile. "What a coincidence running into you here. Though I'd enjoy it a lot more if I ran into you in the finals of the city exams." Jiang Yan fired back without missing a beat. "Then you'd better try your hardest. Because if you can't even make it to the finals, how are you gonna run into me?" Hearing that confident retort only stoked Lu Yuan's competitive fire even higher. He grinned widely, pointing at Jiang Yan, "Just wait for the finals. We'll see who fails to make the cut then." Listening to Lu Yuan's challenge, Jiang Yan smiled inwardly. As much as a rival he is, this kid isn't half bad. Instead of harboring any malice, he found himself respecting Lu Yuan's determination and competitive spirit. Right on cue, the waitress returned to their table with a warm smile. "Sorry to keep you waiting. Here is your set menu, top-grade chuck roll beef." One by one, the remaining dishes were carefully served, until the entire table was filled with refined, high-quality delicacies. Looking at the feast before him, Jiang Yan couldn't help smiling with satisfaction. Across the table, Xiao's eyes sparkled with excitement as she gazed at the luxurious meal. "Just hearing the names of these dishes makes my mouth water. These are the expensive ingredients I've only ever seen on social media. I can't believe this. In my past life as a lab rat, I never got to taste anything like this. Oh, freedom is amazing. It's so good. I'm the luckiest girl in the world to have my big brother treat me to this." She could barely contain her joy, eagerly savoring every single bite. At that moment, the expressions on Jiang Yan and Xiao's faces were almost identical. Both wore smiles of pure, unadulterated contentment as they shared the meal together. As they continued eating, Jiang Yan glanced at his sister and asked, "Zioio, aren't you going to ask who those people were or how I know them?" Zioio didn't even look up from her food, answering casually, "Because it doesn't matter who they are. No matter what happens or who you become, you'll always be my big brother." That simple yet heartfelt reply caught Jiang Yan completely off guard for a moment. Sitting in silence for a brief second, a gentle smile bloomed across his face. "This is family. This is what I'm fighting to protect in this lifetime. I will safeguard this world, no matter the cost." The scene transitioned to the day of the long-awaited Nanyang City University entrance examinations. Deep within the city's demonic rift, the atmosphere crackled with excitement and tension as countless students gathered for the most important day of their lives. A citywide broadcast echoed across the testing zone, reaching every candidate. The annual university entrance exams officially commence today. Every single one of you is a talent among hundreds. This is the moment that determines your destiny. The powerful announcement instantly elevated everyone's morale, reminding them that years of hard work would finally be put to the test today. The scene shifted to the preliminary exam plaza, where thousands of candidates awaited the start. Surveying the crowd, Jiang Yan couldn't help smiling inwardly. Funny thing is, everyone wore school uniforms for 3 years, yet today they ditched them entirely. I'm the only one still wearing mine. Then again, I promised the principal I'd bring the top scorer title back to Nan, #1 high school. How are people supposed to know I'm representing them if I'm not in uniform? Moments later, the chief announcer stepped up to explain the rules for the preliminary round. The rules for this year's preliminaries are extremely simple. Hunt down the demonic beasts occupying the rift zone. You will be awarded points based on the strength of the creatures you slay. The top 100 highest scoring individuals would advance to the final. The sensor wristbands you've been issued will automatically calculate the point value of each beast based on its aura. The time limit is 6 hours. Choosing your targets wisely is a crucial part of your strategy. Good luck to all of you on the battlefield. The moment those final words fell, the colossal gates began to swing open, while the countdown timer immediately started ticking down. Instantly, the atmosphere exploded with excitement as candidates rushed toward the entrance, determined to secure a spot in the top 100. Some confident students proclaimed a spot was already theirs, while others loudly claimed the areas with the strongest monsters for themselves, all of them brimming with confidence and eager to prove they deserved to reach the final. Walking calmly through the crowd, completely unbothered by the surrounding shouts, Jiang Yan quietly analyzed the situation in his mind. The rules sound simple, but there's more to it beneath the surface. First of all, the rift zone they selected for this exam is the ideal testing ground, the gloomy ghost forest, where monsters range anywhere from level 15 to level 25. Unlike the venomous Dragon Valley, this place lacks insanely terrifying bosses. Plus, the diverse variety of species makes their power levels fluctuate wildly, rendering this the ultimate battleground to test a large pool of students. While everyone else was solely focused on rushing forward to farm points, Jiang Yan had already dissected the exam's design logic. Soon after, all the candidates were teleported into the gloomy ghost forest, a dense woodland stretching endlessly in all directions, filled with towering trees and a heavy, gloomy atmosphere. Despite entering the rift zone, Jiang Yan remained entirely composed, reasoning internally. That's thanks to the backup of the city's top powerhouses stationed here to keep high-tier beasts from straying too close. After all, this is still a university entrance exam. They aren't going to gamble with students' lives. A smile flashed as memories from his past life rushed back. Although I didn't participate in this exam in my past life, I practically lived around here when top powerhouses used this place to level me up, so I definitely know the way like the back of my hand. Not long after entering the forest, a combat class student suddenly shouted out loud to everyone around, "The rules don't prohibit cooperation. Does anyone want to form a hunting squad? Points will be split, but the clearing speed will be way faster." No sooner had he made the offer than several students instantly gathered around him. One after another, they introduced their classes and levels, hoping to be accepted into the group. "I'm a level 16 healer. Let me come along." Another student quickly stepped forward to report his level. As more and more examinees rushed over, eager to join the group, everyone understood that surviving and earning points would be much easier with a well-balanced team. Right then, a girl walked up to Jiang Yan and asked curiously, "What's your class?" Jiang Yan replied without a moment of hesitation, "I'm an F-rank farmer." The moment those words were heard, the girl's expression changed completely. Without saying another word, she immediately turned around and ran back toward the group of combat students. The students standing there looked at her with utter confusion, and she forced an awkward smile. "I was just asking for fun." The others quickly gossiped about Jiang Yan. "If we let a guy like him join, he'll just slow us down. An F-rank farmer will only drag the whole team back." Nobody wanted anything to do with it. However, Jiang Yan never had any intention of joining their team. Completely ignoring the chatter, he calmly walked past them and continued deeper into the forest. As he walked down the mountain path, he smiled to himself. Being an F rank really makes it easy to get written off, but honestly, I'm starting to get used to it. Besides, turning the tables and slapping everyone in the face is just how I roll. Reaching the foot of the slope, he slowly drew his weapon from its scabbard, his eyes filled with determination. Looking straight ahead, he declared, "The name Jiang Yan is going to become a legend in this exam." The scene cuts to the observation room of the Nanrong City College entrance exam, where high school principals had gathered to monitor their students competing in real time. The principal of School 3 smiled and said, "I can't wait to see how fierce today's competition gets. The gap between the top scorer and runner-up in recent years has been really tight." Sitting nearby, the principal of School 7 responded proudly, "My School 7 has produced 4 S-rank geniuses this year. I'm afraid the city's top scorer this time around will belong to School 7 once again." Hearing that boast, Jiang Yan's principal immediately retorted with a calm, yet supremely confident smile. "You yourself are only an A-rank professional, but I don't see you being any stronger than me. Judging a person's potential purely based on their class rank is something only an idiot would do." The principal of School 7 sneered and replied, "Are you talking about that F-rank trash from your school? The guy who somehow managed to top both the civil and martial lists for 3 consecutive years. Don't tell me you actually think he can snatch the top scorer spot." Before Jiang Yan's principal could answer, the principal of School 3 chimed in with a nod. "You're right, rank isn't everything, but an F-rank class doesn't even have the qualifications to sit at the same table as us." Those words instantly enraged Jiang Yan's principal. He slammed his hand down on the table and roared, "That's complete nonsense, and you know it. My student has broken multiple records at the preliminary training base. He's going to blow your minds. Just you wait and see." Despite his confidence, the other 2 principals only laughed louder. Neither of them took his words seriously, and they continued mocking both Jiang Yan and his school without any hesitation. However, just moments later, the unexpected happened. The leaderboard suddenly updated, and the entire observation room plunged into silence. Every single principal stared at the screen in absolute disbelief. Seeing the results, Jiang Yan's principal couldn't hide his excitement and pride as he cried out, "Well done, kid." Meanwhile, the other 2 principals could only stare at the leaderboard in shock. How could an F-rank pull off something like this? They wondered, unable to believe what they were seeing. The camera zoomed in on the leaderboard, where Jiang Yan had accumulated 36 points, firmly sitting in the number 1 spot. The scene instantly shifted back to Jiang Yan, who was standing calmly beside the colossal carcass of a beast he had just taken down. Pulling his sword out of the beast's body, he smiled and said, "Talk about good luck. Right after entering, I ran straight into a level 20 beast." Then he looked ahead and spotted 3 more monsters waiting for him. Without a shred of fear, he raised his sword again, wearing a confident smile as he said, "Looks like I'll gladly accept the points from these 3 as well." Upon seeing the monsters standing right before him, Jiang Yan showed a clear look of surprise. He observed them carefully and muttered to himself, "Black-striped ghost tigers are among the fiercest beasts in the gloomy ghost forest. Too bad in this exam we aren't allowed to harvest materials from the beasts we kill. Such a waste." The very next moment, the entire pack lunged straight toward him, determined to tear him to pieces. But instead of backing off, Jiang Yan calmly stepped forward with his sword in hand and remarked, "For an average student taking the exam, taking on a whole pack like this is practically just as suicidal as soloing an elite boss. But to me, they're nothing more than target practice." After all, even the wealthiest clans in Nanrong City couldn't easily acquire gear like the Kingang sword and the scaled dragon leather jacket. Without wasting another second, Jiang Yan lunged forward with terrifying speed. With a single fluid motion, he slashed horizontally across a black-striped ghost tiger. Before the beast even realized what had happened, it collapsed to the ground, dead on the spot. At the same time, a notification popped up, rewarding him with 900 experience points, while his wristband added another 36 points for the kill. However, the battle wasn't over yet. Seeing its comrade fall, one of the remaining ghost tigers suddenly activated a special skill. In an instant, its entire body began to transform, its flesh and skin mutating completely, making it look even more terrifying and dangerous than before. The moment Jiang Yan witnessed the transformation, a confident smile appeared on his face as he looked straight at the beast and said, "Activating a skill. You just walked right into the palm of my hand. Activate remake skill." The second he triggered the remake ability, he snapped his finger. Instantly, the black-striped ghost tiger standing before him was affected by the skill. Its abilities were completely altered, causing its agility to drop by 15%, while its overall strength suffered a drastic decline. The sudden debuff caught the beast completely off guard, leaving it with no time to react. Jiang Yan didn't give it even a split second to recover. He lunged forward and brought his blade down in a clean strike, killing the monster instantly. As it collapsed, he calmly stated, "The shock of realizing your own skill is weakening you left you wide open for a fatal blow." Just like before, taking down the monster rewarded him with 900 experience points, and the wristband added another 36 points. Witnessing the death of its companions, the third and final black-striped ghost tiger instantly realized it had no chance of winning. Overwhelmed by fear, it turned tail and began running for its life. Watching it flee, Jiang Yan smiled and said, "Only now realizing you need to run, but it's way too late. You're still going to die." No sooner said than done. He hurled his sword with pinpoint accuracy. The blade tore through the air like lightning and pierced straight through the fleeing monster, killing it on the spot. Jiang Yan picked up additional experience points and wristband points. After retrieving his sword, he calmly wiped the blood clean from the blade and declared, "I need to push deeper into the forest, because my goal was never just about grabbing the #1 spot. It's about becoming an absolute legend in this exam." Right after that, the scene cut to the live leaderboard. Everyone's rankings were displayed in real time. Ranking first was Jiang Yan with 108 points, followed by Liu Fang in second with 73 points, and Lu Yuan in third with 69 points. A student stared at the leaderboard in sheer disbelief. With a completely shocked expression, he roared, "How did that F-rank trash sneak into the top 10? And he actually dares to rank higher than our big bro Ouyang Fang." Afterwards, we were introduced to the person monitoring the leaderboard. He was a student from School 3 named Zhao Nao. Standing beside him was a pair of twin brothers who clearly idolized Ouyang Fang. Filled with confidence, they said, "Big bro Ouyang Fang is an S-rank sword saint. There's no way he'll lose to some F-rank trash." The twin younger brother immediately chimed in, "That's right. That F-rank trash must be cheating somehow." Hearing them both, Zhao Nao wore a cold smile and said, "If that punk wants to play dirty, why don't we show him what real dirty play looks like?" Hearing those words, the twins immediately realized Zhao Nao already had a plan. Excitedly, they replied, "Looks like you've cooked up a brilliant plan." Then, with absolute confidence, they declared, "This year's top scorer title belongs to Big Bro Ouyang Fang from School 3, nobody else." The scene cut back to Jiang Yan, who was currently fighting a gigantic monster deep in the forest. After a fierce battle, he finally brought it down. As it crashed to the ground, Jiang Yan frowned slightly and muttered, "Strange, the deeper I go, the fewer powerful monsters I encounter." A moment later, the wristband rewarded him with extra points and experience for the kill. Right at that moment, the sound of applause echoed through the forest. A voice praised him, "Truly impressive, living up to the reputation of the #1 spot." Hearing the unexpected praise, Jiang Yan instantly grew vigilant and looked toward the source of the voice. "Who's there?" A few moments later, Zhao Nao and the twin brothers stepped out from behind the tree trunks, revealing themselves. With a friendly smile, Zhao Nao spoke first. "Hello, Boss Jiang Yan. We're from School 3 and we'd like to team up with you. Are you up for it?" Jiang Yan turned his back and started walking away without the slightest hesitation. Without looking back, he coldly said, "Not interested." However, in his mind, he had already begun analyzing the situation. Taking one look at the three of them, he thought to himself, "Just looking at their faces is enough to tell they didn't come here with good intentions. Their real goal is entirely different." Before he could walk away, Zhao Nao quickly stepped out to block his path. With a confident smile, he said, "What if we told you we know the location of a monster nest? That place is crawling with powerful beasts. We're talking massive points." Standing behind him, the twin brothers immediately nodded in agreement and added, "That's right." Hearing their offer, Jiang Yan remained outwardly calm, but his mind was racing. These guys are definitely up to something. Out of tens of thousands of kids taking the exam, they specifically sought me out and dropped bait they knew I could hardly resist. This trap is so obvious it's almost cute. High schoolers really are green. A smile flashed across his face as another thought crossed his mind. But if they want to play dirty with me, I'll return it tenfold. The very next second, Jiang Yan completely changed his expression and started playing the part of someone who had fallen for the trap. His eyes lit up with excitement as he asked eagerly, "Are you guys serious? You actually found a monster nest? I've been wandering around forever and still haven't run into a decent cluster of mob." Hearing Jiang Yan's reaction, Zhao Nao secretly smiled to himself. Looks like he took the bait. If he thinks he can steal the top spot from Big Bro Ouyang Fang, we'll drag him straight down to hell. Maintaining his friendly facade, Zhao Nao enthusiastically said, "It's real. Follow us. We need to hurry before someone else beats us to it." As the group pushed deeper into the forest, Zhao Nao continued thinking to himself, "We'll lure him out to the middle of nowhere and beat him half to death. By then, he won't be standing in Big Bro Ayong Fang's way anymore. Besides, Big Bro Ayong Fang's old man is paying us a small fortune for this. At that moment, the narrative flashed back to a previous conversation. A mysterious man had given orders to Zhao Nao and the twin brothers, saying, "Do whatever it takes to eliminate anyone threatening Ayong Fang's ranking. In return, I'll pull some strings and guarantee you guys get recruited into the military. You're B and C rank professionals. You should know better than anyone that a career in the military is way brighter than rotting away at some ordinary university." Snapping back to the present, Zhao now recalled those words and thought, I figured the only threats to Big Bro Ayong Fang would be S-rank geniuses. Never expected an F-rank trash to sneak his way up to the top spot. Once we take care of this trash, our golden ticket into the military is guaranteed. A moment later, Jiang Yan looked ahead and calmly remarked, "Sure looks like a nest up ahead." As he began walking toward the monster, the twin brothers suddenly panicked. "Wait, pull him away from the monsters," they yelled, realizing this was the perfect chance to strike. Zhao Nao and both twin brothers immediately drew their weapons, thinking to themselves, "We're completely isolated out here. This is the perfect moment to make our move." They pulled out their weapons, preparing to ambush Jiang Yan from behind. But before he could land a blow, a massive monster suddenly swooped down from the sky and snatched him up. It was a level 25 blue-winged vulture. It instantly grabbed the younger twin brother and dragged him up into the sky. This left Zhao Nao and the older twin horrified. Without a shred of hesitation, the older twin lunged forward to attack, screaming at the top of his lungs, "Let my brother go." Seeing some puny human dare to chase after it, the vulture turned its head and drove its razor-sharp beak straight toward the older twin. The powerful collision sent his body crashing hard down to the ground. Witnessing this sudden turn of events, Zhao Nao's face turned pale as he thought, "What is a beast like that doing all the way out here? Don't tell me that bastard is actually smiling." We walked right into his trap. Meanwhile, Jiang Yan remained completely calm. He thought to himself, "I wasn't lying when I said I know the gloomy ghost forest like the back of my hand. It's just that blue-winged vultures are too rare, and I didn't want to waste time hunting them down. But right now, they're exactly what I need." Hearing that, Zhao Nao completely lost his composure. He roared in disbelief. "You knew from the beginning that a semi-boss was lurking out here, didn't you?" Jiang Yan looked at him with icy eyes and replied in a calm, emotionless tone, "Weren't you guys trying to play dirty? I'm just returning the favor, and honestly, you guys suck at playing dirty." Pushed to his limit, anger boiling over as he shrieked, "You knew everything from the start. You were just toying with us the whole time." Hearing that, Jiang Yan answered without a hesitation, "That's right. So what? Did you really think I'd be an easy target just because I'm F-rank?" Slowly drawing his sword, his calm expression unchanged, he pointed the blade forward and declared, "Too bad you picked the wrong opponent." On the other side, the older twin lunged straight at him, roaring, "Don't get so full of yourself, F-rank trash." At the same time, he activated a skill and unleashed a flurry of lightning-fast slashes, trying to overwhelm Jiang Yan from all directions. "I'll chop you into pieces," he screamed as the attacks closed in. But Jiang Yan didn't even need a complex move. With a single effortless sweep of his sword, he shattered the twin's blade into pieces without breaking a sweat. Restricting his stance, he stated, "You aren't qualified." The massive disparity in power left the twin heavily injured. After that brief clash, he collapsed to the ground, blood spilling from his mouth. His mind was flooded with disbelief. How is this possible? He's supposed to belong to the weakest class in F-rank. Fear quickly replaced shock as another thought flashed through his mind. Students die every year during the entrance exam. He's definitely going to kill me. He's actually going to do it. The twin stood frozen in disbelief. As he watched, Jiang Yan calmly store his sword back into his spatial inventory. Instead of finishing him off, Jiang Yan slowly walked over and said, "I'm not like you guys. Besides, trash like you isn't even worth killing." Those words hit the twin harder than the battle itself. He was completely stunned, staring at Jiang Yan in silence as a bitter thought arose. "I'm not even worthy of dying by his hand." Without looking back, Jiang Yan continued, "I'm a law-abiding citizen. Why would I go around killing people for no reason? I'm not like these nobodies. I'm the person who's going to become the top scorer of Nanrong City." As Jiang Yan calmly kept walking forward, one of the injured twin brothers lying on the ground suddenly grabbed his ankle and begged in absolute despair, "Please save my younger brother." Jiang Yan looked up and saw the younger brother struggling within the talons of the giant vulture, screaming, "Let me go, you bastard." The older brother's eyes were filled with remorse as he pleaded once more, "We were wrong. We should have never tried to harm you. Please save my little brother." Hearing those words, Jiang Yan paused for a brief moment. His expression softened slightly before he bent down to pick up a stone and said, "I have a little sister too. Consider this a favor for her sake. By the way, watch closely. This is the real gap between us. The moment he hurled the stone forward, it tore through the air with terrifying force. Before the vulture could even react, it was struck square. Instantly, the giant eagle plummeted straight to the ground and died on the spot. As the system notification popped up, Jiang Yan received 1,500 experience points, along with 50 status points, for taking down a level 25 beast. Once the younger twins safely landed on the ground, he stared at Jiang Yan in absolute shock before shouting in fury. How is this guy completely fine? Did the big bro and the boss not attack him? Fine, then I'll handle him myself. Without wasting another second, he pulled out his claws and lunged forward, preparing to ambush Jiang Yan from behind. But right before he could strike, the older brother suddenly stepped in front of him and blocked his path. The younger twin, startled, yelled out, "What are you doing? Aren't we supposed to take care of this punk?" Instead of answering calmly, the older brother slapped him hard across the head and barked, "Shut your mouth. Boss Jiang Yan just saved your life. Remember this. Even if we die right here, we never raise a hand against him." His voice was filled with absolute seriousness, leaving no room for argument. Meanwhile, Jiang Yan kept walking without looking back. Glancing sideways at the twin brothers, he thought, "At least they aren't completely brain dead. I've wasted enough time here. I need to rack up more points quick." As he pushed deeper into the exam zone, his thoughts shifted to the battles ahead. Right now, I can freely use the remake skill to dominate the survival phase, but I absolutely cannot use it during the top 100 arena bracket. Countless elite students from all over Nanrong City will be watching those matches. If even a single expert figures out the secret behind my remake skill, I'll be in serious trouble. So how am I supposed to go up against A-rank and S-rank powerhouses with all their flashy skills out there? There are too many broken abilities floating around. Relying purely on fundamental combat mechanics won't guarantee a win. The high schools of Nanrong City are crawling with hidden monsters. That means my best bet is to figure something out right now. I need to test out the most practical skills before it's too late. Jiang Yan quickly brainstormed a new plan. I'll use Remake to permanently rewrite 5 of my skills into ones entirely focused on combat. Once I test and find the best combination, I can safely use those abilities in the arena. That will vastly increase my win rate while keeping the existence of the Remake skill hidden. Satisfied with the idea, he stretched and said, "Time to find another monster nest to test things out while farming points. Every second in this exam counts anyway." Wasting no more moments, he bolted forward at top speed. As he sprinted across the battlefield, another thought flashed through his mind. What other ways are there to maintain this massive lead? Meanwhile, the scene switched back to the exam observation room. The principal of School 3 checked the remaining time and announced, "Only 10 minutes left until the exam ends." The principal of School 7 looked worried as he stared at the leaderboard and remarked, "The current standings are looking a bit grim for us." Before the tension could settle, the principal of School 1, looking thoroughly pleased, instantly retorted with a wide grin, "Grim? What do you mean grim? I'd say they look fantastic. I think the situation is completely optimistic." He then turned excitedly toward the leaderboard, yelling at the top of his lungs, "Great job, Kid Jiang Yan, living up to the one I personally recognized." The leaderboard was displayed for everyone to see, and the rankings left the entire auditorium in silence. First place, School 1, Jiang Yan, F-rank Tinker, F-rank Farmer, 1,998 points. Second place, School 3, Lu Yuan, S-rank Sword Saint, 1,032 points. Third place, School 7, Gai Yian, S-rank Wind Assassin, 983 points. Meanwhile, another principal stared at the leaderboard in disbelief and shrieked, "What on earth is going on with that F-rank kid?" The principal of School 7 was equally stunned, blurting out, "He's F-rank, yet his score is nearly double the person in second place. How is that even mathematically possible?" Even the host of the entire tournament couldn't hide her astonishment. Watching Jiang Yan's unbelievable achievement, she silently wondered, just what kind of monster did we accidentally uncover here? The scene returned to Jiang Yan. He was sitting calmly atop a massive pile of monster carcasses, surrounded by countless beast remains, letting out a soft sigh. Soloing an entire monster nest actually takes quite a bit of effort. As the final points were tallied, his total score breached 2,100 points. Right at that moment, an announcement echoed across the entire exam zone. The exam has officially ended. Any beasts killed past the time limit will not count toward your score. Hearing the announcement, Jiang Yan sat for a moment longer before saying, "Looks like it's finally over." But the timing couldn't be better, thanks to that guy. He slowly stood up and continued, "I've finished rewriting all 5 skills. The top 100 arena bracket is going to be the perfect stage for me to shine once again."